This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome to Safari Live on our Sunset Safari. My name is Byron and on camera with me this afternoon is Fergus. We've got two of the other guides out also on vehicles this afternoon. We have Ali and Tristan, and they are with Senzo and Wiem, and then Kirsten in final control. Now, it is a lovely, cool afternoon. We've got our roofs on again because it is threatening to rain. Now, we've had a few drops already. Hopefully, the rain holds off for the course of the drive, but it appears as if we may have rain right up until Tuesday, or the chance of rain right up until Tuesday next week. And the temperature is about 29 degrees Celsius, 29 degrees Celsius, about 79 degrees Fahrenheit. So nice and cool for this time of year, for February, which I'm not complaining about. We had, for those of you who missed this morning's drive, we had a wonderful drive. We saw some buffalo and elephant. No cats this morning though, but we saw some interesting things. One of the highlights for me was seeing a Speke's hinge-back tortoise feeding on a snail. I've never seen that before, and I don't know of anybody else that's managed to witness that. Sometimes they have been known to feed on little bits of carrion, but generally they feed on vegetation. So it was interesting to see one actually kill and eat a snail. I've never seen that before or heard of that. So we've seen some interesting behavior from the animals at the moment. Hopefully we can find some more interesting stuff for this afternoon. Now let's go across to Ali and find out what her plan is for this afternoon.
Good afternoon everyone, and there you are, and welcome to the Sheridan Technical High School that is joining us on drive today. We are looking at something quite unusual, and what you see there is actually the skull of what was probably a leopard kill. Now, it's the first time that I've come across this particular skull, and I think it's been there for quite a while, judging by the fact that there's no more keratin on the horns and that it's all pretty white and exposed. And I'm a little bit sad because it means that a leopard has been feeding on this tree without our knowledge, and who knows which leopard and how long for. My name is Ali, and on camera today with me is Senzo, and we are happy to have you guys on board. So if you've got any questions or comments, just please ask your teacher to send them through to us. We would love to hear from all of you. Now, going back to that very unusual situation that we've got going on there, we have, as you may know, different species of predators in the area. The one that typically puts its quills up the tree, those are the leopards. Now, either male or female leopards, and they tend to do it in this particular area more than perhaps what they would in some others because of hyena pressure. There are a lot of hyenas in the general Sabi Sand area. Learned that the safest place for them to stash their food so that they can finish it and carry on eating is on top of a tree, which is exactly what this one has done. Now, just to make things, or to complicate things a little bit, we are on a road where there was an active hyena den where all the hyenas had their little babies, which is not active anymore. Seems like either they have moved somewhere or the little ones are not so little anymore and they can move around with them. So they're all probably the reason why that leopard put that kill up in the tree, just to make sure that none of the hyenas would find it so that he could finish it up there. Now it seems like Tristan has found one of the most characteristic birds of this area, so let's head over to him and see what it is.
We have indeed. So we've managed to find ourselves a red-billed hornbill that is busy snacking on some sort of beetle. As you can see, it is finished off most of it and is now flown away. I think it's flown wildy. Unfortunately, it's gone quite far. Now, it's a very warm welcome and good afternoon from myself, Tristan. And on camera today, I've got Wiem the wildebeest. There we go. There's the thumb. Now, it is a special warm welcome to Sheridan Technical High School. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I hope that you will enjoy your safari this afternoon. Remember, ask lots of questions. You can just give them to your teacher, and she'll send them through to us. Now, the plan is for this afternoon is we're going to try and see if we can find you guys a leopard. So we're going to try and look around for the most elusive spotted cat of them all. We're going to go and check around our southern traverse area and see if maybe one of them is lurking somewhere around there. They can be quite hard to find, and particularly in weather like this when we've had a little bit of rain, it's really tough to track them. They've got very soft paws or pads on their feet, and that means that they don't leave very distinct tracks. It's not easy to find their tracks, and their nature dictates that they generally try and be a little bit more elusive. So it's going to be a tough afternoon, but hopefully we will try and find one, and we'll get one out of the hat and be able to show all of you. Now, I'm going to continue down this road towards an area that's got a few little mud wallows, and mud wallows are a good place to check even if it is a bit rainy like today. And the reason why they're good to check is because they often are a place where things like warthog, buffalo, even things like some of the antelope will either go and drink or go and wallow, and that's always a good place for leopards to go and try and look for food. In fact, there's actually an antelope just on my left hand side here. That is our most common antelope, so I'm just going to reverse back so that you guys can see it. Is that better, Vim? There we go. Right, so there is our most common antelope that we see in this area. This is a Impala male. You can see that he has got big horns on top of his head, which indicates that he is a boy or a male. If he was a female, you'd find that he would have no horns on top of the head, and then, like I say, would be a female. Now, it's very common to find males on their own like this. As we start heading towards March, April, May, we're going to have a situation where these guys go into the breeding season, so into what we call the rut, and the males will then chase each other around, and they separate then out from the female groupings in order to try and, one, establish themselves as a strong ranking male that they can then mate, or two is to try and sort of chase to practice and to try and get stronger and healthier by feeding and then practicing with other males by clashing horns every now and then. So you will find the males separating from the females a little bit sometimes as the rut starts to get a little bit closer. Now, these guys, unfortunately, are prey animals for pretty much everything. So out here we have a number of different predators. We have obviously the big cats, and we'll have hyenas and wild dogs, and then you go into snakes and birds of prey, and so there's a lot of danger out here. And this poor antelope is pretty much hunted by everybody. So it is an animal, because there's so many of them, that is really kind of the favorite for most of our animals out here. It's a little small for the lions, but you'll find hyena, wild dog, leopard, cheetah, even some of the birds of prey, some of our big eagles like martial eagles, and pythons will go after impalas regularly. Ooh. Helena, you're asking about our leopards and when they're more active, and you know, so the thing is, Helena, is that leopards generally are what is called crepuscular. Now, crepuscular means that they are active at dawn and dusk. So they typically are very active just prior to the sun rising, around the sunrise, and then they go to sleep for most of the day. And in the afternoon, just before sunset, they start to get going, and then they go into the night a little bit. If an opportunity, though, does come along for them to find either a mating partner or a food source like impalas like this, and they can hunt, they will move even in the hottest part of the day, or in even the depth of the night. But their most frequent time that they'll actively patrol their territory and actively look for food is around sunset and sunrise. And it's why we sort of plan our drives around that point, is because it's actually the best for most animals that we have out here. So not only leopards, but lions, elephants, buffalo, all of the animals tend to work around the sunrise, sunset. It's normally the coolest parts of the day, and it's the time when they can move around and get water and all the other things that they need in order to survive. So going out at this time of the afternoon, especially on a cloudy, overcast day like we've got today, is not bad weather to try and find leopards that could be on the move. We've also had a lot of rain, which would hopefully make some of our more territorial individuals, so some of our males and females that hold territories, be out and trying to scent mark, trying to mark all the areas that the rain has washed their scent away and try and re-establish their boundaries. At the moment, though, it's a very interesting situation here, as we have a complete shift and change in our leopards and the dynamics. So we have a territorial male that has, for some reason, gotten a little bit old and has weakened, and a new male has come in And there's this kind of takeover process that's happening at the moment where we don't really know whether the old male is going to respond to this new male and chase him out, or is the new male going to come in and become the dominant individual. And the reason why it's a worry is because a number of our females at the moment have cubs with the older male. And so if that new male comes in, he's going to kill those cubs to bring those females into estrus. So it's a very different time at the moment, and it's one that means that our leopards are moving in areas that are not really that normal, and that's what's making it a little harder to find them in the last couple of weeks. But hopefully with animals like the impalas being around this afternoon, that at least we have, what they like to hunt, and so maybe we'll get lucky. Now, all of you in the class would like to know how large these antelope herds can get. So impala herds typically in this part of South Africa can average anywhere between sort of 20 animals and all the way up to, you can get some herds of over 200 that hang around together. Generally, the big herds that hang around together are normally in more open clearings than what we're in now. Now we're in quite a dense, thick zone, and so you'll find that the kind of herds splinter a little bit in these thickets, and it's harder to kind of appreciate how many there are. But normally around those size herds, you'll find is sort of 50, 60. That's about an average size herd for us here. And they kind of come together on the open clearings, particularly at night when the predators get active, so that they can spot any predators coming. And then during the day, they go into these areas to go and feed. But in terms of the number of impalas throughout the system that we're in a system that is 8.5 million acres. And in that system, there is, as far as I know in the last census, is well over 200,000 of these antelope spread throughout that system. So it's a lot of impalas that are all the way through, and therefore they are very common for us to see. Good. We're going to carry on, and while we do that, I believe Byron has found our smallest antelope that we get in this area.
We have, Tristan, a beautiful steenbok. This one's quite relaxed. They're usually shy little antelope, and they tend to run off quite quickly, but this one is standing very curious. This is a little male, and this is full grown, believe it or not. And you can see it almost disappears in the long grass because it is so small, and only the males have horns. You can see it eating and feeding on some of the grass there at the moment, little shrubs, and they're usually in pairs, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a female somewhere around here. I'm scanning, but I can't see anything right now. But they are beautiful antelope. I must apologize, I almost forgot about welcoming Sheridan Technical High School. It's great to have you with us. I hope you enjoy your time with us on Safari Live, and don't forget to send us your questions. See, this little antelope browses off the little plants. You can see it enjoying some of the green vegetation at the moment. There's a lot of wonderful green food. I've just spotted a wonderful bird, and I'd like to show you quickly. I hope it stays there. Fergs, it's straight through. There we go. There we go. It is a Levalence cuckoo. Look at that. That's a beautiful cuckoo that we find in this area in summer. They migrate. Where did he go now? They disappear quite quickly too. It just disappeared. Oh, there he is. And he's got those beautiful stripes on the chest. A Levalence cuckoo. Wonderful, wonderful bird. Tiara, you are, sorry, just getting back to that antelope, what its name is again. It is called a steenbok. 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 Some of the antelope have got very funny names. And getting back to the bird, the wonderful Levalence cuckoo. Used to be known as a striped cuckoo because of that beautiful stripe. All those stripes down the front of the throat. It's disappeared now. It's flown off into a tree behind us. But what I want to show you quickly is just these birds are phenomenal and very interesting, and I'll show you why. What have I done now? Sorry, I do apologize. There we go. And it is, as I said, the Levalence cuckoo. But what happens with the Levalence cuckoo, or all cuckoos in fact, there's some nice pictures of it. Have a look again, just a closer look at that striping. I'm sure you did see it when Fergus got it on camera. But these cuckoos, these birds, are known as brood parasites. Now, what's fascinating about that is that these birds don't bring up their own chicks. So what happens is, they're very clever. They go and they find a nest of another bird species. And I'm just going to read here quickly and tell you exactly. These ones I think are starlings, perhaps babblers, actually babblers. So these birds will lay their eggs in another bird's nest, and arrow-marked babblers, they're another type of bird that we get here. That specific species of cuckoo parasitizes that bird. They lay 1 or 2 eggs in the nest, usually one, in the nest with the other eggs that are there. And then those birds, the arrow-marked babblers, actually raise the chicks, and they look after them, which is fascinating. So the adult cuckoos have nothing to do with their young at all. And then once a bird reaches adulthood, it then knows to migrate, and these migrate to Central and North Africa, and they then come back again for our summer months. They come back down and they do the same thing. They will lay eggs, lay eggs and lay them in the nest of another bird. It's incredible. Very, very interesting. And all the cuckoos do that, all the cuckoo species. We've got quite a few different cuckoos that we see around here. Most of them have left already because we're reaching the end of our summer now. So they're starting to move back to Central and North Africa. It's probably beginning to get a bit warmer. Jacob, you're asking what cars we use for our explorations. Now, here with Wild Earth, we use Land Rovers. They're really hardy vehicles. They do well in the off-road terrain, and I must be honest, I prefer using Land Rovers. However, some of the other vehicles that are used for safari are Toyota Land Cruiser. So those are the two main vehicles used for safari, the Land Rover and the Toyota Land Cruiser. This is a Land Rover Defender, old shape, a little box shape, but great for the bush. Yeah, very nice, very comfortable for most parts. Okay, well, let's go across back to Ali, find out how our afternoon's going so far.
Well, Byron, Land Rovers can be very comfortable whenever we are driving them and they're not actually broken. I'm not too sure what my plan for the afternoon is. I would very much like to see a leopard, but they have a reputation for a reason. In the last few days, it seems that they've gone out of their way to just stay away and stay clear from me. But I'm going to carry on looking for them. I've come to a different area from what we were in the morning in the hopes that there will be something around here. So far, not that much luck. We've seen a few smaller species like the steenbok you were watching earlier on with Byron, but then that one unfortunately finished doing his business and then ran away. Newtonia, you're wondering what type of environment we're in. Well, the technical name for this environment is Savanna woodland. Now, I think probably if I stop here, I'll be able to show you exactly why Savanna woodland, as it's quite a complicated name. Now, probably just right in front of us. So you see the Savanna woodland is quite an open environment. There's a lot of grassy sections, so we can sustain a very high population of herbivores. But also it's called the woodland because fire and other climatic conditions don't allow the wood to grow. All the trees and everything else that we've got that provide the perfect habitat for other species, like for example leopards seem to really like it here, all species of birds, arboreal creatures, and so on. So it's a mix of both. It's not just the savanna that you see for example in the Masai Mara, where it's just those rolling open plains. We also get quite a high number of trees, which is wonderful because we've got very beautiful trees. And now in the distance, all the way over there, there's a curious warthog that's looking at us, probably confused as to why we're here and why we're facing in its direction. Seems like the warthog is a mama warthog, yeah, with her two little piglets in tow. And as they start running, very typical, that tail goes up. And the tail almost acts like a flag for the little ones, as in like, here I am, here I'm going, please follow me. And that's actually what the tail is called. It's called a follow me sign. Now, fortunately, the warthogs have gone away, so we're just going to carry on down the road and see if perhaps we can come across a track for any other animal. We do know that leopards seem to enjoy this particular spot, and the big male leopard or the new male leopard that Tristan was telling you about a little bit earlier on seems to enjoy this area as well. So there's always a possibility that we're going to find anything for them. Now, the tricky thing is, well, ideally, we would find like we did earlier on with a leopard attached to it, but I think that kill had been in that tree for a few weeks already. So the way that we look for them is just to try and get different cues from the environment itself as to where they might have gone. So one of the easiest thing, or the way that we normally found them, is just by following their tracks. So you have to learn what a leopard tracks looks like, and then you've got to be able to follow it through the bushes to see perhaps where it had gone, because a lot of the times the animals will use the road, so it's a lot easier to see their tracks if they're on the road than anywhere else. And if not, often, well, you get lucky every now and again where you bump into them or you spot them from a distance, and then you know that they're there. But also other creatures will give them away. So it's if birds or antelope like the impala or squirrels, if they spot any potential predator, they often give an alarm call, and it sounds most things like a snort, especially in the case, or a bark even, of the antelope. And it's just have been spotted, because predators rely on surprise attacks. They can run very quickly, but for very short distances. So they prefer to, stalk their prey, get very close, and then pounce on them. So once they know that they have been spotted, often what they'll do is they'll move away and they'll try their luck somebody else. Oh, hello, Impala. Where are you going? And the Impala went away. Jose, you're wondering what are the seasons that we see in the environment that we're in? Well, technically speaking, and if we want to get very technical, we're supposed to have the 4 seasons. Now, I think that's a bit of a lie. That doesn't really happen. We get more than any of the 4 seasons. We have 2 very distinct seasons, the dry season and the wet season. We call the dry season or winter, and it goes from May roughly until September, and everything that you see around us that is green now becomes gray, because for about 6 months of the year we don't get water, so everything becomes very, very dry. The animals still manage to survive, but they struggle because, as you can imagine, there isn't enough rain. Luckily for us, unlike some other parts of the year, the winter is dry, like I said, so we don't have to worry about the rain. We worry about the rain in the summertime, which is now, because, well, it seems like this past week it hasn't stopped coming, but everything around us is very luscious, very green, very beautiful. Now, the in-between seasons, spring and autumn, I feel they're not really a thing. You can see an influx of flowers, for example, in the spring, which is, I would say, around about September, October, but not necessarily so. So I hope that answers your question about the seasons. We are reaching the end of our summertime, and it feels like it's been a dry summer, although we've been getting wet the whole week, and it seems like it's not going to stop until next year, which is also a good thing, because we are far below the minimum average for the area in terms of rainfall. So we're hoping that we're going to get, even as much as we hate getting wet, that we're going to get some rain, because it's beneficial for the environment. Seems like Byron is driving about, so let's head over to him and ask him what his plans are.
So I don't know exactly what our plans are. I'm trying to have a look around here for some birds. We saw those arrow-marked babblers that I told you the cuckoo actually uses as a brood parasite, but they flew off. Have a look here, stay there. Look at the squirrel quickly, stay there. Oh, is it right next to the post? There it is, sorry. It's a little tree squirrel on top of a termite mound. There were 2 of them. I'm glad this one's decided to sit, using that as a vantage point, having a look around. See, our squirrels, I think, are a lot smaller. These little tree squirrels are a lot smaller than the squirrels you get back home in the States. We have got some bigger squirrels down in Cape Town. Are they the red squirrels, Fergus, I think? European grey squirrels. European grey squirrels, yeah. They were introduced down in the Cape, but they kind of taken over a little bit there now. I think they've got considered part of the wildlife. Now these little squirrels, Ali was speaking about alarm calls and animals that alarm call at predators. These squirrels often alarm call at predators. If they see a bird of prey, a leopard, a lion, anything walking through the grass, a snake, they will they flick their tail and they give a high-pitched chattering sound as an alarm call. I unfortunately can't do it for you, but they are very useful for when we are looking for some predators. Sometimes I do think they're a little bit paranoid though, but but it can be useful, and they are quite accurate at times. So this squirrel is very quiet. I don't think it's seen a leopard very recently. And speaking of leopards, Helena, you asking what is the favorite prey items? Oh, there he goes. What are the favorite prey items of leopards in this area? Well, leopards have a huge range of food that they will feed on. Everything from tortoises right up to some of the large antelope like kudu. In this area there's a lot of impala, and we saw some impala earlier in the show. So those types of antelope, that size, impala is perfect for a leopard. Also maybe something as small as that little steenbok that we saw, another little antelope, a duiker. That's generally the size. And also warthogs. Leopards do enjoy feeding on warthog, especially big male leopards. They're a bit more powerful and I think a bit more skilled at hunting warthogs. Warthogs are very strong animals, so it's not easy to hunt them. But that, I would say, is generally the preferred food or prey species for leopards. It looks as if a lot of the animals are hiding at the moment. I wonder if the weather has got something to do with it, but I'm sure we'll find something very soon. In the meantime, let's go across to Tristan, see where he is and what he's up to.
Well, Byron, you're right. The animals are hiding at the moment and they're making life a little difficult this afternoon, but I'm sure we will find good things come to those who are patient and who look hard and carefully, and so hopefully we will find something fairly soon. Now, I'm right down on the southern boundary, like I said, or the southern area of our traverse, trying to see if I can find anything. And what I have found so far is some sort of signs of our largest animal that we get in this area. So if you have a look on the road there is a pile of dung that is fairly fresh. That is probably from during the course of today, and that is made by an elephant. So an elephant has been moving around in this area, and we know it's an elephant, one, because of its size, and two, because there's a certain something inside of the dung at the moment that is a clear giveaway that it is them. Now, the certain something that is inside there, I'm going to try and just roll back because there's another sort of pile of elephant dung closer to where I am, which has got a very pungent smell. And the reason it's got a pungent smell is because at the moment they're eating a certain type of food. So sitting in the dung over there, you can see there are those two green balls. Now, those are called marulas. Now, marulas are a fruit that comes off one of the big trees we have in this area, and at the moment they are fruiting heavily, and so many of the elephants are feeding off of those fruits, and they shove them in by the hundreds. And all they do is they basically squash it with their teeth, and they squirt all the juice that is inside of that skin into their mouth, and they basically absorb the nutrients through the juice more than anything else. As you can see, most of it comes out pretty whole, and that's because inside there is a rather large nut that is covered by only a little bit of fruit. And what's really important for the elephant is the juice more than anything else, and so they swallow that. The other thing that we we can see by that dung is that it has been raining. When you drive around here and it's very, very dry, the elephant balls of dung that they drop tend to be very large, hard, and very, very compacted because there's no moisture. Whereas these ones are very soft and they're kind of hitting the ground and almost flattening a little bit and going a bit more pancake shaped. If you look at those, you see they're not holding their round shape, and that's because of the amount of rain that's around. The grass is very wet, and all the vegetation that they're feeding on has got a high moisture content, and therefore the sort of dung is breaking up quite quickly. So we're going to try to see if we can find these elephants, given that there are tracks for them. Maybe they're in this area, but I believe Byron has saved the day and has already found one of these big pachyderms.
Well, I have, but it's hiding behind a tree. Hold on a second. Now, they love feeding on... let me go back a bit, Ferg. Maybe this is a bit easier. Is that all right? There we go. This is a young one, so I wouldn't be surprised if there are more elephant around here. I'm sure there are some more that we can't see yet. Maybe they've moved off in the thicket at the moment. So Tristan was chatting about the Marula fruit, as I said, and he probably showed you some. Now, these elephants at the moment, this one's moving away. Hold on, let's see if we can find some others. Where are they? And you saw the elephant dung and how much Marula fruit can actually be in the dung. This one seems as if it's looking for the rest of the herd. I don't see any others though. It's a youngster, but they love feeding on the Marula fruit at the moment, and that one is actually eating Marula fruit right now. Let me move forward. Sorry, folks. This Ellie's seems to not want to be on camera this afternoon. There we go. And it's standing under that Marula tree, feeding on some of the fruit. Beautiful, beautiful, and very relaxed. Mr. Wisner, I'm not concerned at all that this elephant would attack us. It seems very relaxed. It's a young elephant, and also there's no reason for it to attack. We're giving it its space, not causing it to feel threatened. Animals would only attack if they feel they are being threatened and they need to defend themselves. We are always very sensitive to viewing animals. We always want to view them in their natural habitat and not disturb them while they're moving about. Hold on, let me move forward again slightly. Not disturb them at all. Actually, maybe backwards, Ferg. So, Mr. Wisner, not concerned at all. This elephant seems very relaxed. You do have to be careful at times, but like I say, if we are sensitive and careful and respectful of the animals, we can view them with pleasure and really enjoy them, see them going about their business. That's the whole point of a safari. Get people to come out and enjoy nature and learn. Jacob, now this is probably one of my favorite animals to watch in the wild, the elephant. I really, really love elephant. They are such interesting creatures, very intelligent, and I always find myself feeling so peaceful when watching these animals and enjoying them. So the elephant is definitely one of my favorites. Look, it is nice to see a leopard moving through the bush or lying in a tree. But an elephant like this is wonderful. This looks like this is a young male, so maybe that's why he's by himself. Now, Kayla, you were asking about if the elephant travel in large groups or family groups or alone. So usually the females and all the young elephant stay in a herd together. There is one at the back. I can just see another elephant moving through there. There we go. See, so there are others around, just as I thought. There are other elephant around here. And we will go around in that direction. Maybe we meet up with the rest of the herd. But Kayla, elephants generally move around, well, the females and all the younger elephant move in a herd, very tight-knit family group. The older males, generally the bigger and older males, they may move themselves, or occasionally small groups, 2 or 3 males together, like a little bachelor herd. But usually elephants are in herds, and that's why I was curious to see this one by himself, because it does look like a young elephant. But there were others around there. And they can get in, you can see groups of 80 or 100 elephant in areas. Up in Botswana, they get herds of 300 or 500 elephant together certain times of the year. Herds may interact with one another, so you get different herds meeting up and moving through the same area at times. Very social animals. Little, not quite a trumpet, just a snort. Sometimes the elephants inhale a bit too much sand and dust with their trunk, so they blow out of their trunk, and that's what that sound was that we heard. Chris, tusks are not always necessarily an indication of size. However, the bigger, older elephant do have thicker tusks. They can be quite a bit longer. I think, judging by, if you had to look at this elephant, if you just saw that face, it's got what looks like a young face, small tusks. You can see it's a young elephant. Occasionally, the larger, bigger elephants with really big tusks, you can see they're really thick. Sometimes the tusks might break. That's also a sign of age, possibly wear and tear. But a full-grown male elephant can probably get to about 2 or 3 times the size of this elephant. Just to give you an idea of how big males can get. Now it sounds like Tristan has managed to find some elephants of his own. Let's go and see how close he is to them.
We have found our own ellies, except we have a different situation. Is that Byron's got a bull elephant and we've got a small elephant herd. So we've got females and young ones that are busy feeding, and we're quite close to them. They're kind of in the road and around us. There's some on my right hand side that are, I think, going to move closer towards where we are. And there's some on the left-hand side. Now, this will be a cheeky young one. You can see it's coming to try and show off how big it is. You'll often see this with the teenagers, is that they get quite cheeky and they come and they flare their ears out and they try and make themselves look bigger in order to try and impress you. Now, these will be the exact same elephants that we saw the dung for. Earlier, when we saw that dung, it was very wet and still very fresh, like I was saying, and it smelled like quite strongly. So these are the exact same ellies that we were busy tracking and managed to find, which is really nice. It's always good when you find footprints and signs in form of dung, and then you're able to find them up ahead. Now, this is a big female that is crossing the road. So there's 2 really large girls here, this one and the one that was just behind her. And we know that these are females because of the way, 1, that they've got little ones with them, and 2, because they have very angular foreheads. So when I say angular foreheads, what I mean is that the front of their heads almost ends in a square kind of edging, whereas a male will have a very rounded forehead. So theirs have got very angled foreheads, whereas the males are very rounded ones. Now, that girl there is probably in all likelihood the matriarch of this herd, just given her size. She's absolutely massive. You can see how she dwarfs those little babies. Both of those little ones are already sort of 2-3 years old, and so she makes them look quite small. But there we go. See them eating marulas? Look at how they use their trunk. Isn't that cool? So elephants are amazing in that they've got an ability to pick things up much like our hands do. And the reason they can do that is because they've got 2 little lobes at the end of their trunk which act just like fingers, and they're able to pick up the marula fruits that they want. So this elephant is coming straight towards us. Look, it's going to pick up that fruit. There we go. How cool is that? You see how it just picks it up? Much like we would with our hands. So there's the front of the car. She's kind of coming towards us. Sorry, my girl, do you want the marulas where my car is? She's dropped one there. She's going to pick it up. There it goes. So I'm going to roll back a little bit for her so she can get to the marula fruits that she wants. There's also a couple more right next to us. Hello guys, so I'm just going to roll back and let them have the space that they need. So I'll stop theirs that are right for him. Look at the little ones. How cute are the little ones? Andre, you're wondering about lifespans of elephants and how long they live for? Well, it depends on the area that you find them. But here in South Africa, because of the wooded environment that we're in, so we have lots of trees, lots of bushes, and that means that the elephants feed a lot off bark and off roots, which is very abrasive on their teeth. So their teeth get worn down very quickly. And so the elephants here only live to about 55 years for the most part. If you go into other parts of Africa where they feed off a lot more softer vegetation, so in the Okavango Delta where you find a lot more reeds and soft grasses, those elephants will go up to sort of 60 years of age. And in captivity, if they fed the diet of very soft pellets and not so much wooded plants, they can go as much as 90 years old. So a very similar lifespan to us as humans. They have a very kind of similar, in fact, life in general. They are very intelligent animals and can grow very old. Samuel, no elephant graveyards, and so an elephant graveyard is a myth. There is no such thing as an elephant graveyard. It is something that has been created out of some Disney movies, but there is no such thing as an elephant graveyard. What will happen with elephants and where this myth came from is that, as I was mentioning just now, elephants rely on their teeth. Now, an elephant has 6 sets of teeth in its lifetime. Once the 6th set is destroyed, they then can no longer really feed off things, and it becomes very difficult for them to find food. And so what they do is they move from areas like this, where there's lots of wooded plants that are very hard on their teeth, to areas like rivers where there's lots of soft vegetation. And so then they spend their last few years in those rivers, and even then things become difficult to eat and they generally die around those river areas. You'll then get a time of flood, and a lot of the bones will wash into an area where you'll find multiple different elephant bones from different animals kind of deposited in the same place. And so it looks like there's different animals have died there, but in actual fact, it's more that they've just died in the entire river system, and there's kind of been some that have deposited in the similar area. So there's actually no such thing as an elephant going to a certain place to die. They go to rivers and to areas with soft vegetation to prolong their life, and because of that, you find a higher percentage of elephants dead along those areas than you would anywhere else. But how cool is that? Look at, you see what that elephant's doing. It's busy eating the bark off a massive tree. So these guys, what I was saying to you earlier, will feed off bark, and what they do is they use their tusk and they dig it into the tree, and then they take their trunk and they pull off massive strips of bark. Now that, in terms of how high that is probably, I would imagine, if I put 2 of these cars on top of each other, or maybe even 3, that's how long the strip of bark is that has been pulled off of that tree. And they want it because you see there's an orangey red layer on that bark itself. Now that orange-red layer is a layer of nutrients that is very, very, very good for the elephants. It's basically the transport layer from the roots and to the leaves, and it's known as the cambium layer, and that's what the elephant is actually after. It doesn't want the hard outer grey bark. It wants those nice nutrient-rich red barks underneath that they can feed off and get lots and lots of nutrients. But how cool is that? They kind of came along and they fed off their marulas, and then they slowly started to move away from us, and very relaxed. This is a nice relaxed herd, which is always great to have. Now I'm going to try and just see. So sorry, Kirst, if you can just repeat that. Sorry, they were talking on the Game Drive radio as well as. So, Erin, yes, poaching is still a massive problem for elephants. Here in South Africa, not as bad as other parts of Africa, but if you go into East Africa, they reckon there's an elephant dying every 15 minutes from poaching, just in East Africa alone. So, you know, we've got a bad problem with ivory poaching. Here in South Africa, it is starting to get worse again. We had it really bad in the 80s, and there was a big sort of movement to try and stop poaching, and there was a lot of work done, and we kind of managed to get a handle on it. And then now, you know, we've got a situation where it's starting to kind of come up and rear its head again, and so elephant poaching is something that we need to be concerned about. But It's always sad when you think that these majestic big animals like this are poached just for their teeth and for their, that's obviously what a tusk is a modified tooth. And so it's pretty bad that we see as many elephants as we do being killed. But this herd is actually really big. It's much bigger than I thought it was at first. We've got all of the elephants that crossed in front of us, but I've got some more on my left-hand side that are now coming in as well. So there's a couple more down there under those trees. And so it looks like we've got a herd of probably 20, 30 animals here, which is about the average size for here. We can get bigger herds and herds that are much closer towards sort of 100, which is a sight to behold when you see 100 elephants moving around together. Now, sorry, VM, I know that pole's in the way. I do apologize about the pole. It is part of our roof to keep the rain off of the equipment, but they'll come past anyway. But unfortunately, as we watch these elephants gracefully feed their way along in the grasses, it is that time for us to say goodbye to the schools that have joined us this afternoon. I hope that you guys have had a wonderful time and that you enjoyed seeing the sights and sounds and the ellies in particular of South Africa. And hopefully we'll see you out here one day on a safari or on Safari Live once again. But from myself and Byron and Ali, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll hopefully see you all soon. Right, now for all of you that are still with us, or our regular viewers, I'm going to send you off to Ali. She's going to welcome all of you, and we'll stay with this little elephant herd for a while longer.
Well, we're super excited because we found some beautiful European bee eaters. Now, I haven't seen too many bee eaters this summer, and definitely the carmines have been almost a rare sighting in this general area. So when we first arrived, we saw a bunch of them flying, and I can tell the colony is about maybe 50 of them or so that were flying all around here. Now, it is a little bit windy, as you see, on top of the branches of the tree, so I think most of them are holding on to dear life, but I don't doubt that they've had a feast the last few days with all the alates coming out and just all the little insect life that's been popping out in the last few days. Now there's even a third one in this picture. I don't know if you managed to see it, but it's almost a triangle. There's the one on top, then the one to the left, and just underneath, then there was another one that flew in. Just underneath the ones on the left, there's one that's hanging on the tree branch, pretty much trying not to fly away. Now, there are a few Marula trees around here, and they're all on top of the different Marula trees. But I was very excited when we saw them because there's something about bee eaters that's just so endearing, and they're such beautiful birds, the way that they fly around and do all these things. So, very happy to have seen them. I was hoping that we were also going to be spotting some carmines. Ooh, there might be one that's sort of flying closer to us. Nope. It's gone away. It almost seemed like it was gonna land on the dead tree really close to us, but it didn't. There we go. There's the rest of them. Beautiful bee eaters in a perfect view. I'm going to spend some time with them just because we haven't seen them for such a long time, but in the meantime, seems like Tristan is also enjoying the company of much bigger creatures.
I am indeed. I'm thoroughly enjoying the company of this elephant herd. It's, like I say, much larger than I initially thought. So far I've counted 23 different individuals that have joined up together, and so it's a really nice grouping. Lots of young little babies, and seem as though they're quite playful. They're kind of moving through these open grasses, and I tell you what, it's one of the most beautiful places to see elephants is out here on the sort of southeastern boundary of Juma on a road called Drakensberg. You have this epic view out towards the landscape and these open kind of clearings and ellies all over the place, which is absolutely wonderful. So it's really very, very cool when you find them in this area. I thoroughly enjoy it. JDB, yes, we can eat those fruits that the elephants are eating. Marulas are very, very nutritious and are widely used by a number of different people. They are used not only as a food source, as a general, just you can go and eat it, but they are also used to make various types of alcohols, so a liqueur called Amarula, as well as a beer that is made in the local areas that is brewed. And then they make a lot of preserves out of it. Because marulas all come out at the same time, it's very difficult to get it all year round. You wouldn't be able to. And so people, what they do is they would basically convert it into jams and preserves, and then they use those throughout the year. And it's actually a very big thing in South Africa, is a thing called marula jelly, and it's put on toast and all kinds of other things. And so it is edible, very, very good for you, very high in vitamin C. In fact, much higher than any oranges. They have about 10 times the amount of vitamin C in that small fruit as opposed to an orange. So it's very good for you. And they are delicious. I quite like them, but I've eaten so many in my time that I find that they need to be, for me, kind of cold before I actually enjoy them. Now, sorry, Kirst, I'm really struggling to hear you nicely. I heard Debbie. So Debbie, the marula trees you'll find are found by probably a combination of all of those. So sight, smell, and memory. They will see them, obviously. They will also smell the fruits. A lot of the fruits, when they fall and they start to rot, they have this very pleasant kind of sweet smell to them. And so they'll find that like that. And then there will be certain elephants, particularly these older females, that have spent so much time in this area. And, you know, if you think that some of these females are 40 years old, they've been coming through this area for 40 years, and they'll know that the marula's fruit in a certain section and where to find the marulas. Whether or not they know to find the exact marula tree by memory is probably debatable, but they will definitely know that there are certain areas where they can find a nice high density of marulas. Now, funnily enough, they reckon that this belt of marulas that runs from the Sabi Sands through towards Skukuza in the greater Kruger National Park is the most densely populated area of marulas in the world. And they don't know why this is. So there are a lot of places in Africa that have very similar soil types, very similar kind of terrain that marulas could thrive in. But for some reason, that particular line or stripe that runs through the Sabi Sands and then down is the best for marula trees and has the highest density. And they think there's a correlation with the number of squirrels, funnily enough, which sounds really interesting. But remember that squirrels are constantly moving around the marula seeds all over the place. And they think that the population of squirrels in these areas is quite high, and therefore we've got a situation where marula trees are being... Oh, hello, little one. What you doing? Are you showing how big you are? You're very cute. And so there's a direct correlation between squirrels versus marula trees and how many we see in this area, which is really cool to think about. I know there's a study that's busy happening at the moment. There's no sort of final word onto what they actually have found out, but that's the kind of thought pattern anyway. Yes, okay, we see you. You are very big and very scary. Cute though. There are a few things in this world that are cuter than a baby elephant in terms of it's just such a funny animal. It gets very interactive with its environment, often playing with other members of the herd. They interact with us as people on our vehicles, and I don't know, there's something about them that they just seem to have a lot of fun in life. And so that's why I always enjoy watching little baby Ellies going about their business. It's a very, very cool animal to see. So Steve, you're wondering if elephants fight over food? Yes, they will fight over food. You'll find if, let's say, there's a marula tree here and there's some marulas underneath, and a big bull elephant comes, he'll often chase other smaller bull elephants or even herds. Yes, I see you. I'm very scared of you. Off you go. Back to mom. Don't be cheeky. Now, so they will chase those away and they'll then come and feed. So if there's a food source that they can get to and there's competition, they will chase them away. They'll even chase other animals away from water and food sources. So it's not just, other elephants. They'll chase anything if they deem that there is water and food that they can get that is being overutilized by other animals. Very cool, though. I love it when elephants are like this, when they're quite playful and quite sort of relaxed and moving around the way that they are. They often kind of move through these thickets. So when you get them out in the open like this and they are sort of playing around, it's always so special just to spend time with them. And like I say, where we are is one of the more beautiful spots on Juma. It's kind of nice and open, beautiful scenic views to the west. And there's actually a squirrel in amongst the elephants. You see it on the road there, Viam? It's running along. Going down, so off you go. Don't want to be squashed by a whole herd of elephants. And there's a jumping spider too. Hello, jumping spider. So it's here on my dashboard. It's all happening. So we've gone from big to small to very small. So there is a Salticidae or jumping spider. Look at the size of the eyes on this jumping spider. Massive eyes on the front, and they need those massive eyes in order to be able to see where they're jumping to. Because they jump and that's how they move, they need to be able to judge distance and to see where they're actually going. So very cool to see. Now there goes little one. It's now one of its siblings has caught up, and so it's decided to kind of move on. Tony, interesting question. You're asking about honey, and if elephants came across beehives, would they eat the honey? Probably not. You might find they'll be interested in it, but the number of bees would deter them from going anywhere near it. And you'll probably find the elephants over the years have learned that bees are not a good idea to disturb them. So probably not. I've seen an elephant going anywhere towards a beehive or destroying beehives. If they did it regularly, you would find evidence of them going into beehives and using their teeth to break them. There's that they feed. Now, I'm going to forward now, which is very strange.
Oh, seems like the gremlins didn't like Tristan having the elephants for so long, and they seem to have attacked them. Not to worry, you can jump in right with us while Tristan fights them off. Now, we decided to leave the bee eaters. They were looking very cute, but they unfortunately wearing up to too much. I think they're also a little bit cold, and they weren't even huddling up together the way that they do when they get very, very cold for warmth. So we've decided to leave them, and now we're carrying on. Perhaps we'll get lucky with some tracks in the central parts of Juma. I haven't lost hope yet that something will show up. Maybe the leopards just got the invitation a little bit later to our tea party this afternoon, because it does feel like a great afternoon for tea, or even hot chocolate. It's quite chilly. Today is almost, we've had that wind, that very typical coldish breeze that comes with the winter time. I do think that I'm going to regret saying this next week on Tuesday, as Kirst informed us, when the sun does start to shine again. And until Tuesday is a very long time for us to have rainy weather. It feels awfully long. Hopefully it won't be constant rain, but I'm just going to explain to the clouds that it can only rain from 8:30 in the morning here, even 9, until about 3 in the afternoon, and then during the night. Now, before I talk too much nonsense and find nothing, let's head over to Byron, who's with some GNU.
Some kudu? No, these are some wildebeest. Sorry. Ali said GNU. All right, Ali, you are correct. We've got some GNU, or also known as wildebeest, the blue wildebeest, and we're up on the clearings just above camp. Beautiful open area, and a lot of these animals like to come out here to feed on the green vegetation, the green grass. So wildebeest, zebra, impala, all those animals like to come into these clearings because it is nice and open, and it is also a lot safer. So most of them spend evenings on here. They sleep on the clearings. And we'll see, maybe later if we come past, we'll have a look and you'll see the herds of impala coming onto the clearing to sleep at night, so they can keep an eye out for any predators. Now down here in South Africa, we don't get as many wildebeest obviously as you get up in the Masai Mara or East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania with the migration. Only a few small groups. I'm trying to think, the largest herd I've seen down here, maybe about 30 or 40 wildebeest would be a very large group for this area. This weather is now changing slightly again. It's getting a bit chilly. Are you warm enough back there, Fergs? It is a bit chilly, yeah. I'm just going to put a jersey on, or jacket rather. Don't want to catch a cold. That would be terrible.
The sniffles on air.
Get the sniffles on air. Exactly. That would be the worst. That's a bit better. Stop that wind. See some wildebeest lying down. Those are the young calves. You can actually see those little horns. They're very, very young calves, all lying together, just resting. I must be honest, this weather does make one feel a little lazy. I feel like you should be snuggled in bed with a cup of hot chocolate and, I don't know, reading a book or something. I'm trying to think on what my plan is going to be from here. I think Fergs and I are going to head north. I think we'll check 1 or 2 water holes and head north. Let's go back to Tristan and find out where Big Boss Man is at the moment.
Well, I'm still with our Ellies because we've got 2 elephants that are right next to us, as you can see by the close-ups that VM is managing to get of an elephant's back. So they are just on the side of our vehicle, and this herd is kind of just hanging around, taking it very easy with us. It's very cool. We've had little babies coming past us. We've had, the adults move around, and everybody seems to be super chilled. There was a little kind of baby altercation just now where they were pushing each other around, but everything seems to have settled right down and everybody is being all well behaved at this stage. Now I believe you guys can hear nice and clear the Ellie's feeding right next to us. It's very cool, so I'm actually just going to keep quiet for a little bit. Thing about being right next to Ellies is that you get to hear how they rip up grass and their skin brushes up against each other. It's very cool to hear. There we go. Cute, isn't it? Very, very nice. So I think what we're going to do is probably carry on. We're going to head towards Chitwa, leave our Ellies alone. They're starting to slowly disappear into a thicket, and our signal here is obviously a little bit sort of dodgy. I don't know why it keeps going up and down. So I'm going to turn around and just head back towards Chitwa side. And while I do that, let's send you back across to Ali, who's, well, I believe gotten out and has found something very pretty that grows from the ground.
Almost like a rose from the ground. Now we've found a type of flower that is confusing me a little bit because it reminds me of a flower that I knew that was called the eland's pea, and it normally comes in a purple shape, but you see this one is actually of a white shape. So according to the book and my references, it seems like it belongs to the Teprosia family, and it's a family of flowers that have a lot of beans. So in fact, let me just move you a little bit. You see all the beans that are out here. So as far as I understand it, and if it's the same one that I'm thinking of, and I could partly be mistaken on this one, this particular one is also, I cannot remember the scientific name for the other eland's pea that I'm thinking about, but I can say that the other color variation is around here. Now, it almost looks entirely like the same plant, but I had never seen it of a white color before, which is quite interesting. So I'm thinking it's perhaps from a different different species altogether. You see the beans all the way over here, very tasty, and as far as I know, they're normally used, or they used to be called eland's pea flowers, because elands, which is a very large species of antelope, come and eat them, and I think they're also being used for food supplement for cattle. Now, the other colorful one, where is it? I'm hoping that I'll be able to show you guys. I don't know, since if you can see this one. Is this good? So you see it's basically the same, or at least very similar flower, which is what's leading me to think that they're closely related. But this one is of a purple color and pretty much the same pea structure. The leaves are very similar as well. So I think it's going to be a bit of a flower mystery for a while, just because, well, the petals on this ones are the same. It's these 2 joint ones and then the bottom ones. And this one is of a purple color and those of theirs are white. And as much as we've seen the purple one around, this is the first time that I've seen the white morph, which is quite interesting. It really, really stood out to me. I thought it was perhaps something else, like bird droppings on the Terminalia tree that's growing here, but it seems like it's a different one altogether. Now, the reason why I think it's this one, now, field guides for flowers are not my most beloved books. They tend to be quite complicated to try and follow. So ironically, the best field guide that I have found is one that includes all the plants of the Okavango Delta. Don't know why that seems to be the best one, but I'm tempted to think that it is one of these ones, just because, as you can see, the flower shape. Sorry, Sinza, let me just change the page. This one is going to be more easy for the IDing. So you see, this is the correct structure of the flower that we saw there. It's pretty similar. There's 2 petals on top, and then there's 3 down at the bottom here, and then and they're all from Teprosia, showy Tephrosia, I would imagine you said. But then here we look at all these beans, very characteristic of this family, I should say, just because they, well, commonly known to be in the bean family. But I have a feeling these particular ones are not in this book, so but at least it gives us a starting point, or it gives me a starting point as to where to start looking for them. It's quite interesting. I love it when the little flowers come out. Rhea, you're wondering if people can eat the flowers and beans. Well, as far as I know, and if it's the same one that I'm thinking of, yes, you can eat them. I do think that some people actually boil the actual beans and then they eat them and they mix them with other greens. But I also know that the flour is used, it's crushed, or is it, I think it's the concoction of the flour and the roots, if I'm not mistaken, or perhaps just the roots. I cannot remember exactly right now, but it's used as a fish poison. So a lot of the times people will crush, let's say, the roots, and then they throw it into the water, and all you have to do is wait for a few hours, and then it seems like the toxins that are present stun the fish, and then the fish eventually just float up because they're a little bit stunned, and then it's a lot easier to grab them. Obviously this wouldn't work in large bodies of flowing water, but in the different little dams and water holes, and it seems like it's quite effective. So at least if you can't eat the beans, then you can eat the fish. Or you can have fish and beans. That would be quite a healthy meal. I think the camp would approve. Maybe we should implement that with the Juma crew. We can start eating all the vegetarian front from the environment. We just have to be very careful that we don't get the ones that are going to kill us. I think that wouldn't be ideal. Kirsty agrees with me that we should be eating some of the things around here. But I don't know how some of the animals will feel about it if we all of a sudden started eating their flowers. Because a lot of them like different ones. So I think we might have some competition with the elephants. Out of all of them, I feel like the elephants would be the ones that would have a problem with us sharing their food with them. Right, now it doesn't seem like there's too much happening in the central parts of Juma. I've been checking mostly towards the western side, and I'm hoping that we're going to eventually come across something. And almost smells like, what is that smell? Almost smells like hippo. How do I describe hippo smell? It's like a damp, very pungent smell. Like if you could smell something that's stinky underwater, and you could smell the water and the stinkiness at the same time. I don't know how to explain it better than that, so I'm sorry, but it could be that there was a hippo somewhere around here. Treehouse Dam is not too far, and as we know, in this particular type of weather conditions, hippos can come out of the water and then just graze throughout the day. And I've often found them when there are days like today, so where we have a bout of rainy days, that even when you're walking, you need to be careful of hippos just sleeping in certain parts of the in the blocks in between the roads, because often there will be little puddles of water, and all they have to do is, they get a little bit hot, is just go in there and it's almost like a little bathtub for them, and they'll stick around in there for the rest of the day, and then they'll carry on munching and doing their thing throughout the night. I keep seeing all these termite mounds, and I'm hoping that we're going to see a leopard on one of them, but it seems like we're not getting that lucky with the leopards. I'm sure they're all eating somewhere tucked in the blocks very happily. All you have to do is find one. And I was very bummed to find that Impala carcass on the tree, but very old as to have absolutely no hope that there would be an Impala attached to it. Not too sure what else if there's actually any hope for this road, but while we try and get ourselves onto a different area, let's head over to Byron and see what he's up to.
Well, Ellie, I'm kind of in the same boat as you at the moment. There's not too much going on here. I've been trying to look even just for little interesting things, but it's been very, very quiet. Haven't seen any insects. Maybe I just haven't been looking hard enough. I will try and do a lot better. So let's see, but as I always say, it's too soon to panic. possibly going to bump into something shortly. We did see the elephant earlier, and that's always wonderful. Sarah, there are definitely giraffe in this area. However, I haven't seen giraffe since I've been back. And I'm not sure when last they saw giraffe here, but there are giraffe. We've seen giraffe many times before in this area. They kind of have, I wouldn't say seasonal movements, or to an extent seasonal movements, also depending on vegetation and water. But now there's so much food and water everywhere, so animals just spread out. But we do get giraffe here. No tracks of any predators at the moment. Haven't seen fresh predator tracks for a while. I think the lions are still on Torchwood. I heard some guys tracking around there. Hopefully they have some luck. They can let us know where they are. I'm not sure what happened to that male lion and male leopard that was on Chitwa, Tingana, and one of the oh no, what coalition is it again? The Birmingham males. Sorry, I had a blank there. See what happens, you go into different areas regularly and different coalitions, and I forget the names and I get lost, but luckily Fergs is on it. Yeah, it was nice to see two of the Birmingham males the other day with the Nkuma Pride, all looking very good and healthy. But they were looking a bit hungry, so I don't know when last they ate something substantial. Now this used to be one of my favorite areas. I'll just show you, there's an Impala standing over there. But we're approaching this drainage line. And why I love this drainage line so much is all the bird species we used to find around here. Well, we probably still do, but also I've had a lot of luck with owls down in the drainage line in this thick area in these big trees, especially the Verreaux's eagle owl, that giant eagle owl. Beautiful bird. But it does help if you hear them calling. Then you can pinpoint where to look. If they don't call, it's very difficult. Speaking about the birds calling, I was very, very happy with that Shelley's Franklin this morning, a bird that I haven't seen on safari live before. I've seen it in the past, but never here. So that was really exciting for me. Now it sounds like Tristan has had some more luck. Let's go and find out what surprise he has for you.
Well, the best kind of surprise one could ever have, which is Tingana feeding off his kill. So I think Byron was still half asleep this morning when he came past Tingana in this tree, because he's under the exact same tree we left him last night, busy feeding off the last of the scraps. So I think I might not know. Byron a few months ago gave me trouble about the difference between an Impala when I had an Impala kill, and I thought it was a Nyala, and gave me lots of trouble about it. But Byron, at least I actually saw an animal and not just drive right past it. So I believe Byron was here this morning looking for Tingana and came here and said there was no leopard. But quite clearly there is a leopard that is still crunching away on the last of that skull, just getting rid of what's left over. So there's definitely still a little bit of meat. He's got a nice round kind of belly. He's still a little skinny, and but he's looking better. He certainly looks a lot more full of life. There's a little bit more life in those eyes than what we saw the other day. So, I mean, he's lost a lot of condition, but hopefully we'll kind of pick up a lot of it again pretty soon. He's obviously an older male, and so in time he should. But look at that belly. The belly's a little bit more round. Still a little skinny, though. He could definitely put on a bit more muscle and a bit more kind of weight. That's for sure. But an Impala will go a little bit of a way to doing that. I wonder if this male lion didn't get some of it. There are little bits all over the place, so it seems as though he's managing to find some nutrients, and even though that doesn't look like a lot of nutrients, it's going to be pretty beneficial for him in the long run to kind of keep going and feeding off that and getting a little bit out of the scraps. Now that's the lower jaw that he looks like he's got his paw on, and not sure what else he's feeding on. But let me just move so that Viam doesn't have to deal with this big log that's in front of his face. So I'm just going to go in here a little bit for him. Let me just try and get round. Hold on, Vim, sorry. There we go. How's that feel, Aldi? Better. There we go. So that's much better. Now we don't have his face obscured by a massive branch. It's much easier to actually see him. Very good, though. It's awesome to catch up with Tingy. He's always such a kind of beautiful cat, and those eyes are still as good looking as ever. Like I say, he's not his former self in a lot of ways, but that can be gained pretty quickly, and I'm just glad he's actually got some of this meal, and hopefully he managed to get a fair amount last night, and hopefully he'll be able to get a bit from this. There's lots of impalas around, and so I'm hoping that maybe he gets to catch some of those. But this male lion definitely climbed this tree last night, so Vim, if you can just quickly go onto the tree for me. I hope the bar's not in the way. It is exactly where I don't want it to be, but you can see just to the right of the bar there's actually scarring of where that lion climbed the tree. I'll try and show you guys. There you go, big deep gouges that went in, so it definitely did climb up and go into the tree, and I wonder if it maybe took some of this carcass and then he's just feeding off what the lion left behind. I'd be surprised though if a lion left any of this. Maybe what happened was the lion went halfway up and decided I can't actually get the rest of the way and came back down again, but there's definitely signs of that lion going up into the tree. There's big gouges, like I say, all the way up, so it seems as though it did go up at least some of the way. It might not have just gone all of the way, because I see there's a little bit of fur also still attached to the tree up at the top, but there's some ribs as well, and nothing like a little rib action. On a Friday afternoon, it was a Thursday, sorry, should I say, it's not Friday, so it's Thursday, and a little rib action on a Thursday is not the worst thing at all. Very cool. Well done, Tingy. Considering there was a male lion here, I think he's done quite well to at least get some of this, which is very cool. Now, I believe a lot of you are happy to see Tingana. I'm sure you are. And like I say, he does look as though he's a little better, doesn't he? He seems to be kind of a bit more full of life. I obviously suppose he's got food, and so he's busy feeding on it, but he seems as though he's a little bit more full of life. There's definitely a little bit more kind of weight around those hip area, and so I think he's hopefully going to start coming back into the fray and start to kind of dominate again. He's got lots of work to do. He's lost a lot of ground in this little period where he's kind of been under the weather, and so he needs to get his strength back and get himself nice and big and well built again, and then come back and chase Hukamuri off towards the west and keep him at bay for a while longer. It's important because, as I was mentioning yesterday afternoon, so many of the little cubs around are Tinganas, and so it's very important that Tingana does what he needs to do in order to keep those cubs safe and healthy, and so that we can see a next generation come through, and particularly because a lot of the cubs are females. So, Shadow's cub, Tundi's cub, those are little girls, and so we want them to stick around. We've lost so many of our females in terms of Salesh, Shongile's missing, Karula, so it would be nice just to have another female coming back into the area and growing up around us that we know comes from the Karula lineage. So it will be good if he can stick it out for a little while longer and get back to his former self. There's another little rib he's found. It's almost like little pub snacks that he's found inside the grass, and there's a few other little things. I can see still some of the skull that's lying around. That's about it. I don't see any more legs or anything. I think he's probably chomped most of that down already. In all fairness, though, I'm pretty sure when Byron came here this morning, he maybe had gone for water, and now he's just kind of arrived back. You never know, or he could have been hiding in one of the thickets close by. It's not exactly a very open clearing exactly where he's lying. If he goes off the track where the cars are parked, it's actually quite tough to see him. So we'll give Byron a reprieve in that regard, but it's just like to give him a little bit of trouble anyway. It's always part of the fun when Byron and I are together, is that there's lots of banter that takes place. But here he comes again. Look, you can see he's kind of searching around, hoping for more. His belly is fairly full there, so he must have got at least some of that impala, or if not most of it. He's got a round appearance. He's definitely at least had a decent meal, which will go a long way. So monitor lizard, impala, in the last 48 hours, it's at least some nutrients, and like I say, good for Tingana, and hopefully it will continue now. This will be the upward trend going forward. He's walking with ease, though. It's not like he's limping, but he definitely has lost a bit of condition, that's for sure. Tingy, are you looking for more, boy? what is immediately sort of evident out of sitting here watching him is just how much taller he is than Hukumuri. Much longer legs than what we see from Hukumuri. Hukumuri is a much shorter leopard than Tingana. And so I think if Tingy gets himself sorted, Hukumuri's got a bit of a wake-up call coming his way. Right, now, talking about Tingana and these things, let's send you across to Byron so he can explain why he didn't find Tingana this morning.
That's not important right now, Tristan. What is important is we've found a beautiful Burchell's kukul. Have a look. Now, these birds are quite secretive. And you can see why. Look how it maneuvers through the very, very thick vegetation. Oh, these birds are fascinating. Wonderful, wonderful birds to watch. But as I said, they are quite tricky to view. That's a lovely view. There we go. The Burchell's kukul. There it goes. You might lose it now. Oh, well done, Fergs. I just want to show you the Burchell's kukul. Have you still got him there? There we go. That's all right. Well done. That's a lovely view. Now, not to be confused with a cuckoo. This is a kukul. Coucal. Oh, these birds are fascinating. Now, a lot of other birds don't enjoy having the kukuls around because they will feed on small birds, insects, reptiles, even some small mammals. I'm not sure what little mammals they'd feed on. Probably just little rats and mice. But they are interesting. And also then they often referred to as the rain bird. I'm sure you've heard that term given to the Burchell's kukul because the myth is or the what do we say, myth or the legend is that the Burchell's kukul, when it calls, it is going to rain very soon afterwards. I'm going to play the call for you quickly just so you can hear it. Hear that beautiful sound? Very cool sound, very, very cool sound. That's the Burchell's kukul. But yeah, interesting little bird and nice to see it, but very secretive, jumping through the thick vegetation there. Now, I suppose we should address the elephant in the room, even though there isn't an elephant around. But why did we not find that leopard this morning? So I think what happened, Tristan gave us the wrong position. He did not want us to spend time with the male leopard in Tingana, so he told us the wrong position completely. I think that's what happened. That's my story. I'm going to stick to it. Oh no, Ferg says he's not because he was with Tristan the night before, so he knew exactly where it was. So I think maybe we were a bit asleep. Maybe he did go and drink. I'm hoping that he actually went and drank somewhere, and that's why we didn't find him and then went back later. Because we did look around there, but that is a bit embarrassing. I'm sorry. But luckily, Tristan went back there and he found the leopard. Let's not be jealous now or anything. Some young Impala. Tristan's probably cracking himself up right now in that leopard sighting, rubbing his hands together with that evil laugh. Let's go and find out how it's going though.
Never, Byron. I would never evil laugh you at all. I'm sad that you didn't get to see a leopard. I would have liked for you to have seen a leopard to get your spirits up, given that you've had to put your soggy shoes on this afternoon and ditch your slops behind. So I'm sorry that you didn't get to see a leopard. I was hoping that you were going to. And I definitely didn't even tell Byron where it was because he didn't ask. So if Byron had asked very nicely, I would have told him exactly where. Oh, listen to that. Now, if you're a bit squeamish, probably best to look away because that's a head that is being crunched like that. You can see the teeth there that have still got some vegetation in them, which gives you an idea of how fresh that is. So it doesn't look like a fully grown impala, given those teeth are very sort of white, still quite sharp. And also just the size of that skull inside the sort of paws of Tingana. It looks like this must have been a young female impala, so potentially one that was maybe born not in this season, but maybe last season of lamb, so in November, December of, not last year, the year before. Could be one of those. That's what the kind of size it looks like, so a year and a bit old impala that he's managed to catch. Curtis, your fruits and predators, it does happen with things like jackals. So jackals will actually eat jackalberry fruits, hence the name jackalberry. But leopards I've never seen eating marula fruits. You can see he eyes them out and just ignores them completely. I've never seen lions eating fruits either, so no. I would say no. The answer to that is that the big cats definitely no. But things like jackals, yes, they will sometimes. You'll find can eat fruits as well, but they're considered more omnivorous than they are carnivorous, and that's basically what those mean. So omnivores are obviously animals that will eat both fruits and meat, whereas carnivores is pretty much strictly a meat diet. And I would be very shocked if Tingana picked up a marula and ate it, but maybe he should eat some, maybe help with his condition, get him sorted. What do you think? I think maybe a few marulas might do him some good. It certainly does our elephants good. Now, talking about elephants, let's send you back to Ellie, who seems as though she's found an Ellie of her own to complete an Ellie trifecta this afternoon.
We have found an Ellie, a beautiful female, and unfortunately she's not playing the game and she's hiding. I'm hoping that she's going to go towards one of the mud wallows that are roughly in the direction where she's going in. But it's quite curious about this female because we've been seeing her the last few days and she's definitely been around, and every time I've come down and I've driven around these roads, I always find her and her calf. She is looking huge even for an elephant, and I'm pretty sure she's in the final stages of her pregnancy. And I'm wondering, or starting to wonder at least, if she's not getting ready to give birth somewhere around in this area, because she's been in between Twin Dams, Treehouse Dam area now, Shibamu Pans, and she hasn't walked all that far. And roughly the last few days, she's always been here. And like I said, she's looking very, very, very big. It's almost uncomfortable to see her with her very big stomach. So I'm hoping that if we keep tabs on her, we'll be able to see a tiny little baby Ellie be born in the next few days, although I wouldn't want to annoy her that much. Alana, you're 14 years old. Yes, female elephants can fight with other female elephants. Sometimes what will happen is when herds that don't know each other, breeding herds with a lot of females on the youngsters, they can fight with each other just to protect their own families, because it's not always a peaceful event. Sometimes elephants will bump into elephants that they don't know in their travels, so they're always trying to keep everyone at bay. Now, there might be issues every now and again between the older females of a particular herd, but normally the females that live within the group, they tend to get along quite well. It's only when strangers or strange occasions or some sort of problem from the outside comes that we can see them fighting. And still then, it's not common to see the female elephants fighting. It's more common to see the males for all sorts of other reasons. So I don't think so. The only times also that I've heard of fights of females within the same herd was in a reserve. I can't remember if it was now in South Africa. I think it might have been, where they were using contraceptives for the females, and they were allowing some of them to have babies and some of them not to have, or they were preventing some of them from having babies just to try and keep the numbers at a certain level so that there wouldn't be too many in the reserve. And what they started seeing was that, well, some of the females, when they gave birth, the other ones that were the chosen ones not to give birth and were almost like getting jealous or feeling that void, if I suppose I can call it that. So they would fight and they would try to kidnap each other's babies and raise them. So I think it was one of those things where conservation failed. Not ideal to do that. Oh, here's a youngster going towards the mom, and he's the only other elephant that I've seen in this particular spot. I'm gonna try and go around the road, see if maybe we can have a view of them onto the other side. But in the meantime, let's head over to Tristan, who I believe is enjoying the company of Tingana and the Impalas very much.
We are indeed. So this is why I was saying that this is a great place for Tingana to be. Now with a little bit of extra energy from eating this impala, you can see that there are loads more impalas that are hanging about. The airstrip is always a place where lots of impalas will be. They'll spend most of their nights in this area, and many a leopard has hunted in this section. Now, this particular impala was obviously one of those that drifted from one of the open clearings towards a thicket, and that's why it was grabbed and then pulled up into the tree and obviously fed upon. And so I'm sure Tingana, if he wants to be successful, maybe just spends another bit of time in this area. Maybe he'll get another impala for himself to feed. Conditions are perfect for hunting and for going after prey animals, so I wouldn't be surprised he does it again. But he's still tucking into the skull. He's getting every last little bit of nutrients that he can. I think he's been a hungry cat, and so, every bit that he can get is going to be vital for him in terms of getting back to himself. So he needs to eat as much as he can and feed off every last morsel that is here. Now, we were looking up into the tree just to see if there was anything more, and all we could see was just a bit of fur up there, so I don't think there's any more meat in the tree itself. He eyes the tree every now and then. It'd be nice to see if he actually does go up, but you can see Viam's just trying to sort of have a look and see if he can find anything. Nothing there. I think it's on the branch just above Viam, which is hidden from view by our pesky roof. But anyway, at least he's down on the ground and kind of feeding nicely for us, which is wonderful. In action, and at least, like I say, I mean, he's not looking great, but he's at least looking better than what he was, and food is going to be a huge help to get him sorted out. Now, you can see Dan, it's always a debate as to how old leopard cubs need to be for, new males not to kill them. It's tough to say. It depends a lot on the male that moves into the area, but generally, as long as she can kind of pretend like she can mate with him or can mate with him, then he's normally not too dangerous. But if you take Kuchava as an example, she's quite an interesting one because she distributed onto Cheetah Plains when she was about 2 years old, or just under 2 years old, and Quarantine came across her a few times and left her alone. So Quarantine obviously thought, well, she'll be mating potential and a female, and so is not really a worry. So normally, I suppose, if they can get to about 2 years old, then they're normally seen by the males as okay. The problem is the females also got to deal with other females, and so they've got to find themselves a territory that doesn't house too many females. Now, it sounds like there's some ellies moving behind us as well. They're not visible at the moment. You can just hear them. You can see he's also looking in that direction, so I think there are some ellies. There they are, right there. Well done, Bildy. So we've got elephants and leopard in the same sighting, which is very cool. And the elephants are moving away from this area, so Tingy's fine. He's not going to have his meal disrupted, which is a good thing because we don't want him to be chased by the ellies because he's going to then be seen by the impalas, and we don't want that. We want him to be able to go and hunt some more impalas and to be able to feed himself and get something more in that tummy. Right, talking about elephants and them being around, I believe Byron has also found some more ellies, and like I say, it just seems ellies all over the place this afternoon.
There are indeed ellies everywhere, Tristan, and I'm very happy about that because I love spending time watching these herds of elephant. And this is a nice herd, some youngsters and some adults, but they scattered around. They're quite spread out at the moment. Not too close to us, but we've got a nice view of them. So I might hang around here for a while with these elephant. I know we've seen a lot of elephant already, but it's been pretty quiet for us with everything else. So when you've got the elephant, spend time with them. Luckily, Tristan has got Tingana. I wonder if that male was just lying somewhere in a dense thicket there, waiting to move the kill and move out early this morning. Not sure. But luckily, you get to see him nonetheless. Can hear the elephant Sorry, I can smell them too. Can you smell that, Fergs? Quite a strong, pungent smell. The wind is blowing directly from them to us. Very strong smell. It's not a musty smell. The smell that we can smell is the dung smell. Fresh dung. And but I can hear the elephant as they're moving through, they're tearing the grass and breaking branches with their trunks, feeding as they go. There's a lot of green grass at the moment. Elephants vary their diet. As we know, they'll feed on just about anything from grass to leaves to marula fruit to bark. It all depends on the time of year and what nutrients they need. At the moment, there's a lot of food everywhere, so they're all very happy. Oh, look at that little youngster. Isn't it cute? I was hoping they'd come a little bit closer to us. Maybe they do. I'm not sure. Just trying to have a look behind us. If the road curves at all, but not yet. Raya, the elephants use their trunks for just about everything. Chasing flies, feeding, drinking. And I think the reason they use their trunks or move their trunks up to the ears, possibly just have an itch. Sorry, hang on. Speaking of the elephant, let's quickly go across to Tristan. Something's happening with Tingana.
Well, the Ellies have come in, so they've pushed Tingana off now, and they've kind of come in to start feeding on all of these marulas. They want the marulas, and there's Tingana just sneaking around in the bush behind us. He's lying in there. You wouldn't know it, but he is in there. There he is. There's his head just sticking up above the grass, and so he's had his meal interrupted very shortly by our one-tusked elephant female. She's been around quite a bit recently, and her whole herd is going to head in this direction. She's probably going to push us away too, because we're parked on top of some marulas as well, and she's going to sniff around, and I'm pretty sure when she gets close here, she's not going to be too happy, because she's about to smell death. She's going to pick up the scent of this impala head and ribs and those kind of things, and it's probably going to make her feel a little uneasy. I'm surprised she hasn't kind of gone at Tingana. She saw him very clearly. He walked out right in front of her, and she saw him, and she just doesn't really care too much. It's normally the case when it comes to leopard, is that elephants are not that fussed about leopards at all. They tend to be far more worried about lions than anything else. But how cool is this to be able to have an ellie with a leopard on a sighting? I think it is very, very cool, if you ask me. And there you can see the marulas, so I think VM's hoping that our Ellie's going to come suck them up very, very quickly as we sit and enjoy our Ellie. So she's just giving us a shake, probably because we're sitting on top of the marulas. Also, she can smell probably that dead impala, which is just making her a little bit more feisty. And there's also a couple of bulls apparently playing behind us now. Tingana is going to have himself a bit of an issue because lots more Ellies are coming. I want to just turn the car a bit better so that VM's got a better shot of what's going on. He doesn't have to shoot with the aerial behind him, because the Ellies, the whole herd is coming in this direction, and Tingy's going to have to make a little bit of a movement and move out the way. Now, we call him Tingy sometimes because of his kind of name. It's a little shortened nickname. So there he is in the grass. Ellie's all coming in front of me, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have to move fairly shortly because he's about to get a pachyderm invasion. Look, there's an elephant coming straight towards where Tingana is. So Tingana's in the grass, elephant right there, and he's actually being cornered a little bit. Here comes another elephant coming from the side. Where is he going to go? He's going to have to break cover and maybe run towards us, which is going to get the elephants a little bit more sort of frustrated by all of this. He's trying to probably keep himself quite low. All the Ellies are just on his right-hand side, so he's literally holding his nerve with elephants no more than, I would say, 3-4 meters from him in places. There you can see some of them in front of us as well. Now, one elephant is walking straight towards him. Let's see if he moves. There they come. You see them there? No, there he goes. So you see him running from the Ellies. Now comes the big females. They're going to chase him. So I'm pretty sure he's going to have to try and get up. Look at this. How's that? That is ridiculous. Did he make it up into the tree, Wiem? I can't see where Tingana went. The Ellies are all very upset, so I'm going to try and catch up with Tingana. They all obviously are not happy that an elephant just went bursting through past their calves. Now, I don't see them up in the tree. The females are going to be quite grumpy. They're not going to be happy. So I'm going to have to just watch some of the females as well. But how in that chase, did you hear the trumpeting from those elephants? Very, very unhappy Ellies, that's for sure. That was very cool. Now let's just try and see if we can try and get to where Tingana went. Hopefully our signal's going to stay because we're going to head deeper into Chitwa a little bit and further south. Now the last time I saw him was running in this direction. Right. Find Tingana because the elephants are still going crazy. Let's send you back across to Ali, who's having an Ellie mud bath. It's just elephant action all over the place.
We are having a blast just watching this young elephant. Now, this is the offspring of the female that we were watching earlier on. And it's just been having the best time in this very shallow mud wallow. Welcome everyone to South Africa, and we hope you enjoy with us this very unusual sighting of a young elephant having the time of his life. Found a very shallow mud wallow, and it's almost like the water became its worst enemy and yet the best playmate. He's just been loving playing in here, and we've just been enjoying watching him. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Senzo, and we are very happy to have you all here. So if you've got any questions or comments, please post them on the comments section below. This young elephant is definitely enjoying this. He has had a blast, and you see he's almost managed to make himself completely full of mud. Hello, little one. I think you missed a few spots, so you can go back in there and just make sure that you finish covering yourself up. Come on. Do it properly. It's one of the beautiful parts of the rainy season. We have so many mud wallows that have just been filling up with water, and the elephants absolutely love playing with the water. And even in a slightly overcast day like today, and the fact that we've had a few rainy days, it doesn't deter the youngsters from being young and just playing all around. That was, I don't even know how you got yourself in that position. The mud, the best thing. Marula, you say that this is almost like a spa. It is, and what better thing to have all of the fresh mud from Africa in your face and all over your body to feel young. He's having the best time. Stacy, no, this elephant is not on its own. It's too young to be on its own. So its mother is actually not too far from where we are. She's just feeding. And I think she's just left this little one with all of the energy to have the best time in its own private little mud wallow. She is not too far, and we can hear elephants calling in the distance as well. So we are sure that there are more elephants in the area. So I don't know if this one would be able to enjoy all this mud wallow. Michelle, you're saying what a cutie. Indeed, this is the best. This is the best. It's almost like he's half covered in chocolate. Are you done now? Have you just killed all of the water and all of the mud and you've decided that this is it? I think maybe let's give him a few seconds. Perhaps maybe it's Mom calling. No. No, Mom, I don't want to get out. Make me. Still busy trying to get back into the mud. Cindy, I'm not sure. I think all children and small things like them. Perhaps the lions and leopard cubs might be the only ones that don't, but elephants clearly love to dive in head first. Absolutely love the mud, and this youngster is, I wonder if maybe the mom got tired of him and just sent him on his way. Just go play in the mud for a little while. Let just Mom have a nap. because it's a good way of keeping yourself entertained. And I'm sure you're missing, or the youngster is missing, the company of some of the other siblings and relatives in a big breeding herd, but it will go just where its mums goes. And I have a feeling that the mother is in the final stages of pregnancy, so that could be a reason why the two of them are on their own. So perhaps she's just getting ready to give birth within the next few days or so, and she's not going to be walking as far and wide as the rest of the herd. But this youngster is still dependent on the mother, will stay with her and wherever she goes. Yo. Peter, you're saying that you're 90% sure that your 2-year-old son is this elephant. Well, I reckon it could very well be. They absolutely love it. Now, we have a bit of commotion going on. There's a herd of elephants that just joined the party, and we apologize for all the different poles as the elephants are behind us, but they came dashing through the bushes, running, and we can hear them in the distance. So I wonder if perhaps they haven't seen a predator, if they're not going away from something. You can hear all of them charging through the bushes. I can't really see what's going on around here. They are coming all around. I'm just going to try and reposition our vehicle. See what's happening. All right, they're running past our vehicle, so we're not going to move. Oh, going back. What is going on, guys? All right. Stampede of elephants. Don't worry, guys, we're not the ones that are after you. So the safest thing for us to do is just to stand still. There is definitely a stampede of elephants going all around us. Okay. Now we've got the last boy walking. You're not as scared as the rest of them. I have no idea what just happened, but we have elephants all around us now. This young bull is following the rest of the herd, so I'm sure he belongs to the family, and I can see just a few more elephants right in front of us in between the thickets. I'm not too sure what could have caused them to run like this. So normally when they get this upset, it's either because there are predators that are following them around and something could have distressed them. They have a lot of little ones with them, so I think perhaps that's why they're scared and so protective of them. And sometimes, I don't think this bull, because he's a little bit too young still, but sometimes they get that angry when they have big bulls harassing them. So I have no idea. I haven't seen elephants dashing through the bush like that in quite a long time, so something must have really gotten them upset. Now I hear a car not too far from us, and I think the elephants have calmed down a little bit. There's a lot less trumpeting, so they've clearly put some distance in between whatever it is that was annoying them and themselves, clearly. Huh. What a puzzle. I hear more elephants. Okay, there was another elephant trumpeting. I think I'm gonna head onto the road, actually, just quickly, just to try and see what's going on, because I just see trees moving everywhere, but I cannot see what's the reason that the elephants are so stressed. So let me just move, head back onto a different spot and just try and find out what's been going on. Sorry, Chris, can you repeat the question once more? I thought I had more space in front of us. Stacy, you're asking me if my heart skipped a few beats. I would say more than just a few. Because to have a whole stampede of elephants running straight to you, well, first of all, it's a very stressful thing, because we just want to know what's been happening and what would trigger them, because this is not normal behavior for them. So luckily they weren't running at full speed that they wouldn't see us parked there, and they were very relaxed with us, and we weren't their problem. But I'm wondering if perhaps there are lions somewhere in the area or other things that might be annoying them, because all of them had their temporal glands, they had secretions on the side, which means that there's something that's been stressing them, and I don't know what it could be. My guess would be lions, just because it's the only possible predator that the elephants have in this area. Sorry, we're just trying to get past a complicated spot. There we go. Perhaps lions, yeah. Perhaps even a very big leopard. Perhaps 2 leopards, but this is very unusual. I can't see anything from here. I'm going to carry on looking for the answers of this question in this incredible action that we've had. So if you want to carry on watching, just please find us on hashtag Safari Live, or sorry, just Safari Live, for more of the action that might ensue. I'm going to follow up on this area, see what else I can find as to why the elephants were like this, but let's head over to Tristan, who's enjoying the company of Tingana.
Well, currently I'm not seeing any company. I chased him off, find him again, find him anywhere in this. I don't know where he went, and we lost him because we had a temperamental elephant that kept chasing us around for a while, and so now I'm trying to work out where he could have gone. The last time I saw him was running in this direction, straight towards these trees over here. And so this thicket and trees, I went round the side of it, couldn't see anything. Have come here now for the second time, still can't see any sign of him. And what I was thinking is that maybe he ran somewhere and just went flat and tried to just hide away from the elephant. The problem is that he could have gone further and just run all the way through, and I just missed it. But it's really difficult to find him this area. Oof, Tingana, where did you go? Well, it might have been a situation where we've lost him from now. Hang around here, you never know, he might come back towards that tree, although there's not very much for him to come back to. So while we try to find him, because our signal's not great in this area, let's send you back across to Byron and see what his plans are for the rest of the afternoon.
Well, so there's been a lot of elephant activity. All 3 of us this afternoon were with elephant at the same time. I had a herd, Ali had a herd, and then those elephant chased Tingana away. So that was really interesting. So there's a lot of elephant activity, which I'm not complaining about. I love the elephant. But I'm now on a road. This is a new road. I haven't taken this before. Moving along this drainage line. Beautiful road, though. Nice thick area. So maybe we bump into something around here. Scanning the tops of these termite mounds, looking in the trees. I don't know what we're looking for really. We're just looking for anything. No, blue cozy leopards. I don't think it's unusual for them to return to a certain tree. I don't think they use a certain tree that often. However, I remember there was a female leopard that we used to see quite regularly down on Londolozi. Beautiful leopard. She grew up there, and we got to see many of her cubs. And there was one really big, prominent Marula, and I remember seeing that leopard in that tree, lying in that tree, at least 3 times in a few years. So it was a tree that she obviously knew, and I mean leopards know their territories very well, and I think a nice big prominent tree is something that they would use regularly. We might not always see them using it, but I do think they return to the same tree and scent mark. We know they scent mark the same trees quite regularly, so it's not unusual for them to go and climb up and rest in a tree from time to time that they've used before. And lots of little flies at the moment. Oh, there's a beautiful drainage line just off to my left, and this road kind of skirts along the edge of this drainage line. This is a nice area for a leopard to hide in. Maybe seek a bit of shelter from this cold weather and a little bit of drizzle that we had earlier. Not much, but there was a bit. So you never know, we could bump into something around here. The bush is very thick at the moment. It was interesting at how quickly that male leopard Tingana could disappear from Tristan, and because of those elephants chasing him, you know, he's not interested in hanging around for that. So, but it shows you how quickly they can disappear. Very elusive cats when they want to be. If they don't want to be seen, you're not going to see them, that's for sure. There's a nice little mud wallow over here on my left. Let's see if anything has come down to drink. I don't see any fresh water splashes or any tracks around here. It seems as though the ground is fairly hard, so I don't see any movement. And the thing is, at the moment, with all the rain that we've had, there's a lot of little pools or little mud wallows like this, so lots of water for animals to drink. What I can notice is that the frogs are quiet at the moment. Now, yesterday the frogs were all very vocal. Not a single frog calling now. A few starlings, I can hear some starlings around, but no frogs. No frogs at all. Let's carry on. I like this area. It's a beautiful area. Nice thick area. Nice thick drainage lines. Now, Ali had those ellies that seemed quite distressed. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe they smelled something. Let's go and find out from Ali if she's managed to find anything, or give her a hand to see what it was.
I'm not too sure actually what it was. We've carried on driving down the road just to see if we can pick up anything. And that would be the smell of something, see anything, or find any tracks. But we haven't had any luck yet. So I'm really puzzled as to why the elephants all of a sudden decided to come running. There was clearly something that was distressing. Marisha, you asked if it could have been wild dogs because you know that elephants don't like them. It's a possibility as well. Maybe it was wild dogs, but I haven't seen them react that way to wild dogs before. This was pure panic that the elephants had also, because we heard them when we were watching the little one. We could hear them in the distance, and there was already a distress, but it sounded more when elephants are just having arguments with one another and just something is mildly annoying them. But then all of a sudden to see all these females just stampeding through the bushes, it was quite a sight, I must say. And it's tricky because luckily we had a good position, and then the elephants had enough time to see where we were, and then clearly their anger, whatever it is that they were feeling, was not, or their stress rather, it was not aimed at us, because they just avoided us and they were just like, oh, okay, you're here, bye. We're escaping from something else. So I'm really puzzled as what it could have been. We've done a bit of a longer loop, but I'm going to head back onto that area. Perhaps we can pick up anything. Dilly, maybe they were indeed upset because somebody ate the last Marula. Could be, wars have started in the world for less. I'd be surprised if that was actually the case. You ate my Marula! Ah! And then they all came running. That was quite an adrenaline rush, I must say. It's incredible just to see them all running like that. And that little youngster, also the one that was so happily playing in them. The second it saw those elephants running, he was like, no thank you, I'm out of here, where's my mom? Now, I'm very puzzled as to what this could have been, but I'm gonna now go back to the area where we were and follow up on these elephants. By the time we had left them, they had all calmed down. They were in thicker vegetation. There wasn't as much trumpeting. I think they're still going to be uneasy for the next little bit, just while they calm themselves, because, that was proper running. And I don't know if you guys saw the little one running, the tiny one. I've never seen something so small run so fast. Clearly trying to keep up with the family, as in like, I will not be the last one. carried on running. So it just shows that all of these creatures, even from a very young age, they are designed to be able to escape from predators, but just pretty much to hold on to dear life. It's not easy being a wild animal in this area. Now, I have no clue. My guess it's I'm not actually that close to Tingana or the elephants that chase Tingana. We are quite a few kilometers away. Pretty much in the central parts of Juma, and Tristan is almost in the middle, in the central parts of Chitwa. So in a straight line, I think it can almost be 7-10 k's or roundabout there. So it's far. We're nowhere near close to each other, so it's just elephants going crazy today. It seems. Well, the elephants with Tingana, they would have not liked Tingana there, so they would have chased the predator, which leads me to think that perhaps they saw a leopard too. It could have been, but it's a tricky one. I'm not sure. Now I'm heading back to where the elephants were, or where we left them, but I think it's still going to. I got attacked by a tree. Everything's stampeding our way today, Senzo. What an unusual thing we've just witnessed. Now, I'm happy that we have a good relationship with the elephants in this area, and they know that vehicles are not something to be afraid of. Whew, I feel like my heart is still beating very fast. That was a lot. Tristan is still looking for Tingana, so let's send you back across to him while we look for our elephants, or potentially the leopard after the elephants.
Well, we're going to try and see what we can find. Now, VM says he heard a squirrel alarm calling. Or him calling. Did you hear him calling, William? A low-pitched grunt. Trying to stop and listen. So we've been sitting out, and the reason why is that this whole herd of impala is moving straight towards this area. So that big herd that we saw when we were sitting with Tingana earlier is all moving in this direction. And so we thought if we just sit tight for a while, maybe the impala coming back might trigger Tingana to arrive back on the scene and kind of be somewhere hidden in these thickets. Maybe he's going to try and hunt these impalas. So we didn't want to go too far. The Ellies have pushed off, and we also thought maybe he'll be brazen enough to try and come back to this area to see if there's any food. But you can see all the impalas slowly kind of coming exactly where he's kind of been lying. So that's where Nsuku was lying the whole of yesterday afternoon, and it's very close to where Tingana has been spending his afternoon as well. So I was hoping that this would kind of trigger us finding him. The problem that we have is that the direction he ran is the complete wrong direction from his point of view, that we lose signal very quickly going that way. It also means that he was running towards the Nets Chitwa cut line, which means that he could have crossed south into a Nets very quickly. We did check along the cut line as far as we could, and then we started to lose signal, and so we turned around and had to come back. But I was hoping that he just went somewhere underground and just hid it out, waiting for those ellies to kind of go away. Leopards often do that. They get chased by elephants, and then they'll just lie down and they just sit there, and they know that the elephants can't see them and that they're perfectly safe. And so the last time I saw him was running, and then he just kind of vanished, and it didn't take us that long to get around. But I suppose a cat that's running and jogging away and trotting can cover a lot more ground than one kind of realizes. So unfortunately no more that I can hear, but we're sitting off just trying to listen. It's the best thing to do when trying to find a leopard. So I thought I heard something as well, but I didn't. No, nothing. I'm going to try one more time in this little thickets that I think he might be lying in. It's also getting a bit gloomy now, which is making it a little tougher to see. But one thing that is maybe worth Byron or Addie doing, I don't know where either of them is, but I just got an update that Hukamuri was mobile kind of towards Triple M, and then he cut south and started moving kind of more south parallel with. But if one of them's in, it's worth just kind of standing by, and maybe they get lucky and he'll pop out somewhere. But while we kind of see if maybe for some miracle Tingana pops out, let's send you back across to Byron with something that maybe even Tingana would like to hunt this evening.
Yes, Tristan, if Tingana bumped into this little guy, he probably would like to hunt it. But how cute and beautiful is this? We often see scrub hares at night, but I think with this very cool weather we're having, some of them are coming out a little bit earlier and feeding. And this one is very relaxed. Those huge ears. Look how it's enjoying that green grass. Busy eating, not fazed by us at all. This is really wonderful. Close to us. But look, those ears constantly twitching, listening out. They're very, very alert. Those big eyes on the side of the head so they can keep a good lookout for any predators. But you see how large that eye is. Again, a good sign that it's still there. Good sign that is nocturnal. Those long, powerful legs, very fast, agile little creatures. The scrub hare. There it goes. Wonderful. Bianca, you say such big ears. All the better to hear you with, Bianca. That was nice. Something different. Nice, relaxed little scrub hare. I'm still just checking these drainage lines. Starting to lose a bit of light now because of all this cloud cover. It's getting a bit darker. Yeah, I suppose. I suppose it's past 6 already. Not even that late, I suppose. Yeah, pretty soon our days are going to be getting a lot shorter with us moving into winter. I must be honest, I love summer in the bush. I do, and it's lush and it's green. But I think I prefer winter. I prefer winter. Fergs, do you have a preference?
I like a bit of both. I like when the rains first come back.
Ferg says he enjoys when the rains first come back. Yeah, that November, December is nice. Also, all the young animals that are born, the young Impala lambs, the wildebeest calves, a lot of young around that time of year. Speaking of young, Fergs and I were saying we hope that we have a bit of luck and bump into Tundi, maybe, that beautiful female leopard and her cub. I haven't seen that cub yet, so that would be wonderful. No, I thought I saw some movement through there. But I'm also checking the trees. Now, we used to see a giant eagle owl in this area, or Verreaux's eagle owl, last year, but I don't know. They don't always hang around. They do move. It'd be great to hear that booming sound of the Verreaux's eagle owl again. See if we can find anything up here. Maybe there's this beautiful big, lots of lovely jackalberries. Provide good cover for a lot of birds. It's also a bit difficult if we do find one because we've got the roof on. So we won't necessarily be able to angle the camera right up, but if we did find it, we'd make a plan. Well, Tristan's being very persistent this afternoon. He's still searching for Tingana. No luck yet, but let's go and find out how it's going.
Well, exactly. No luck, unfortunately, for us. Lots of bushes, though, and lots of getting hit by trees in the face and all kinds of other things. So I think VM and I were just talking about it now. We might just can our search in the next little bit. We'll go one more time back towards that tree in case he's turned up. I think in all likelihood, we're not going to have any luck finding him. It is very thick in here. Lots of places where could have hidden. And ultimately, if he hasn't laid down, we are so far behind him now, chances of finding him are going to be almost zero. I just want to check once more around this section and see what's happening. But while I do that, I believe Byron has now found himself a bird of prey.
I have. Look at this. It appears to be a steppe buzzard. It looks like a steppe buzzard. Oh. Yep, a steppe buzzard. There it sits. I just want to reverse quickly. Sorry, folks. Can I just... hold on. I just want to see what it caught. Can you see that, folks? Is it a scrub hare that it managed to catch? I think it is. I think it is. It is. It's a scrub hare. Now, wow. I'd be very surprised. But yeah, I think this steppe buzzard managed to catch. Wow, have a look at that. It's sitting perched on the top there. Steppe buzzard managed to catch the scrub hare. This is fascinating. I've never seen this before. A lot of firsts for me. These I would have thought that maybe a scrub hare would be a bit big for a steppe buzzard or common buzzard. Let me just find it for you. I just want to double check. I'm almost certain. Those yellow legs, that yellow sear on the beak, dark eyes. It's definitely a steppe buzzard. And let's just see what they say about the food. Mainly insects, but also rodents and reptiles, and occasionally birds. So this is a rather large kill for this bird. But it's interesting. We've just mentioned how the scrub hares are becoming a lot more active this time of day. It's not quite nighttime yet, but I think the cool conditions, they're moving around a lot more. We've seen two moving around, and now a third one that the steppe buzzard managed to kill. Common buzzard, yeah. Just having a look at this bird very carefully, because it actually looks like it's got it. No, it is. Do you agree, folks? Stevie, you say you hope this hare wasn't related to the one we just saw. I don't think so, Stevie. I'm not sure, though. But look at that. I'm hoping this bird decides to come down again and feed. Maybe if we sit here quietly, not too close to the kill, maybe the hunger gets the better of this bird and comes down and feeds. It would be wonderful to see it feeding on this kill. And David, all the way in Napa, asking if the steppe buzzard and the steppe eagle are the same. No, they're steppe cousins. So I couldn't resist. They're not the same, David. They're different. The buzzard, the buzzard is much smaller than the eagle. Notice also, if you have a look at the legs, David, you see how the feathers don't go all the way down the legs. And I'll try to find an eagle, a steppe eagle for you. But if I'm not mistaken, the steppe eagle, the legs, it's much larger. The feathers go all the way down the legs. But it is a much larger bird, about the same size as, I would say, a tawny eagle. A buzzard is much smaller. So this new name for this steppe buzzard is actually the common buzzard. That is the name, the common buzzard. Puffing its feathers up a little bit there. I was really hoping it would come down and feed again. I'll give it another minute and then I'll probably move off. I don't want to disturb the bird. It was relaxed when we found it. Key View asks, is it possible that the bird stole the kill? You know what? I don't know what it would have stolen it from, to be honest. Anything that is large enough to kill a scrub hare like this, I don't think the buzzard would attack and try to steal that from anything. So I don't think so. I do think this buzzard managed to kill the scrub hare. Wouldn't that have been fascinating to watch? But this looks like a small scrub hare. It's not a full-grown scrub hare, not like the one we just saw. This is much smaller, so probably a bit easier for the buzzard to kill. It's fascinating. This is great. Starting to drizzle a little bit now. Cindy still clocking up those birds for your Juma list, and you say this is 209 for your Juma list. That's a very impressive list number for this area. 209. Wow, Cindy.
Well done, Cindy.
Yeah, even Ferg says well done. That's very good. That's an impressive list for this area. Let's see if I can read anything else interesting about the common buzzard. It is a Palearctic migrant, the common buzzard. So usually arrives October to November and departs February to April. So pretty soon these common buzzards will disappear. I'll read up a little bit more about them for you, but let's go across to Ali and find out that if she managed to have any luck with her search for a leopard.
Seems like it's been quite an unusual sighting or afternoon all around for all three of us out and about. Seems like Byron has been very lucky today with things eating other things or animals eating other animals. We haven't found a leopard or a lion or anything that could have maybe put the elephants in such distress. They seem to have calmed down now. They're slowly coming into this particular area, this road that I'm in, which is a little bit more open, but I think they're going to take their time. There's the occasional trumpeting every now and again happening, but as we drove through one of the roads, they were on both sides of the road quite happily feeding. Now I'm going to carry on investigating, but while I do that, let's head over to Tristan, who's investigating why the impala are running around.
Let me go back, man. Hey, do you want me to go back? Are you good? Now, apparently we are live, which is quite interesting because I didn't know that we are at all. Anyway, it's the way it goes down here on Chitwa's. Comms are a delight. Anyway, we're watching these impalas rutting around, and so I'm going to try and turn so that VM doesn't have to deal with all of this equipment that is in his way. How's that, VM? Is that better? So, there we go. The impala's all running around, rutting very close to where we lost Tingana, and so it's the reason why we just sitting tight, is in case he comes back hearing this and moves into this area, maybe trying to hunt them. We also had elephants run across the runway at one point, and so it's all been kind of happening in this area. It's been very kind of interesting to watch what's been going on. It's amazing how it's just been so much action just in one place. It's been absolute chaos. Everything seems to have settled down now, though, in terms of our impalas all going very kind of still and taking it a little bit easier. Although I feel like it's a moment's notice is going to break out. Lots of males in this grouping, so it tends to be why there's so much chasing around going on and lots of noises and grunting and gargling that's been happening. Are you boys all settled now? It just takes one, though. One triggers all the rest of them, and then before you know it, there's literally just impalas running in every direction. And like I say, lots of noise that is made. It's very cool to hear when they do it. No, now everybody's gone quite quiet. It seems as though all is quite still. But if that didn't get Tingana's attention, I don't know what will, because you can see those impalas are right where Tingana was. That's basically going into where that tree was and where he was sitting. And so if he hasn't heard these, then I don't know, then he's not in this area, or he's not interested in hunting them anymore. But you can see they're a little nervous in that section. They probably can smell still the death and carcass that is in that area. There's still obviously a little bit of the head still there, and there's lots of smell around that area. There's obviously scent for lions as well. Are they snorting or alarm calling? No, one is sneezing. Gemma, the male impalas win females or herds by fighting other males. So the more that they run around and gargle and snort and chase other males and fight other males off, the more attracted the females are to them. And so they'll literally just chase males all over the place until they're the only male that's left in the area. In that case, they then take over the females and mate with them. So that's how it basically works. Is it's all about the strongest male chasing off all the others and being the sole male left. So the females know that if he's the male that's stayed in the area and chased all the others off, then in all likelihood he is the one that is the strongest and the best genes to be able to mate with. So that's why they'll kind of go through that phase and why they get into that situation. But that impala is looking very sternly in that direction. I'm pretty sure it can smell leopard. I don't think it can see anything. It's not snorting or alarm calling. If they saw a leopard, they would alarm call immediately. And these guys obviously are just very, very relaxed and are not really making too much noise at this stage. And they're kind of walking in there a little bit further. The reason why I'm sitting tight with them is just in case they let out an alarm call and they can indicate to us where Tingana is. You never know. Sometimes you get lucky and that happens. It seems as though everybody's just kind of standing around. Right. Well, we'll give it maybe 2 or 3 more minutes, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Byron and that incredible sighting of the steppe buzzard and scrub hare.
This bird, I've just moved away a little bit to try give it some more space, hoping that it comes down to feed again. But it is fascinating. They, as I mentioned, Palearctic migrants, so they do migrate to other continents, but all the way to Eastern Europe, Siberia, non-breeding grounds in Southern Europe. They go to Sub-Saharan Africa, Southwestern Asia. So this is a very well-traveled bird. It's amazing. So I do apologize about that stick now. It's just moved slightly. But I don't want to start the car again in case we disturb it some more. I'm just hoping that it comes down to feed on the remains of that scrub hare. I'm trying to keep my voice down, and as I said, we moved further back. So we're just going to wait and see. The frogs are now starting to call again. Those are little, firstly the bubbling cassinas again, and also painted reed frogs. Can you hear them? I love the sound of that bubbling cassina.
Can you make it?
No, I can't make the sound, Ferguson. No, I don't know. Sorry, I can't do it. No, not even going to try anymore. Well, this was a very interesting sighting, but I think we're going to be a bit respectful of this bird, and we're going to move on. I'm sure once we've moved, it'll probably come down again and feed a little bit more on that, on its kill, on its prize. But that is impressive. That is wonderful. See, just when you least expect it, you see something interesting. And that is great. That's a lovely, lovely sighting. Well, I think let's leave the beautiful steppe buzzard, or rather common buzzard now known as the common buzzard. I prefer steppe buzzard. Yeah. Leah, speaking about the birds of prey, we do not see condors here. Condors are in South America, I believe. We do not get them in Africa, so no condors here. Leah? Did he fly down already, folks? Just having a look if that bird is still there. I think it might have flown down again as we moved off. I can't see it now, not from our angle. It's a bit tricky here. Anyway, but I like I said, I don't want to disturb it any further. We had a nice view of it. Sure, well, that was interesting. And something different. Now, it's not quite dark enough yet, but we're probably going to have to get the spotlights out soon. See if we can find any little nocturnal creatures. It sounds like Ellie's waiting for a leopard. I wonder what luck she's had or where she is at the moment. Let's go find out.
Well, we haven't had that much luck yet, so it's definitely not the leopard that was carrying the elephant, and it seems that Hukumuri is coming our way. I think he is taking his time. According to the reports, he was heading towards the cut line. So in all leopard fashion, I am now stalking the cut line just to make sure if we get a chance to see him. I've never seen him other than a quick glimpse one night, but other than that, nothing. So I would really like to meet a new leopard, a new guy that's clearly decided that he's here to stay, although it'll be interesting to see what time we'll say. Now, we're pretty much in the south western corner of Juma, and I cannot even hear cars in the vehicle, and we got the update from Tristan that was adamant that the reports were stating that he's coming this way. So we might as well try and wait here and just see if he does come, because then it will mean that we'll get some more spots for the evening, and that is always a good thing. But no, I almost think that I can hear cars in the distance, but I think they're still a little bit too far away for us to actually be able to determine or where they're going. And I don't even know if I'm imagining the sound and if it's wishful thinking or if it's actually happening. But we're going to sit around here for a little while, and just in the hopes that he does come this way. And if he doesn't, then we'll move somewhere else. Tristan seems like he has left Chitwa, so let's head back to him and find out where he's going.
No, I haven't left Chitwa yet. Is that a catfish? No, it looks like a terrapin. It is a terrapin that is going in the water there. So I was hoping, I came this way to see if I could find a catfish for all of you. I said yesterday that I saw catfish, and I was a little further north of where I am now, but I want to just try and see if maybe there is a catfish still lurking somewhere in this area. It looks like it's dropped too much now for a proper catfish to be swimming around in this section, although there's some nice big puddles here, so it could be. I was also kind of hoping that I would come into this area and I would be able to find Hosanna chasing catfish up and down here. Wouldn't that be quite a cool sighting? I think that would be a fun sighting to have, watching Hosanna catfishing. And I'm sure he would be pretty good at it. I know he caught a few catfish last year around this time, so maybe he was going to look for some more. You never know, maybe that's what he's doing on Torchwood, is catfishing and trying to find some. Taking a little vacation on Torchwood, decided I'm going to go there, do a bit of fishing, take it easy, and then when he's had his few days, and then he's going to come back and grace us all with his presence, because he hasn't been back since that buffalo carcass. He went north into Tortured and has decided that's where he's going to stay for now. And knowing Hosanna is just catching all kinds of things on that side of the world, and that's why he's just kind of taking it easy. Also, the conditions have been perfect for a hunting Hosanna to be successful, so pretty sure that's what he's busy with. Thought I saw something on the road, but it's just a plant, I think. Yes, it's a leaf or a plant that's on the road itself. This light is very, very gloomy at the moment. In fact, I think lights are going to be useful. Madison, most active nocturnal creatures. Are we talking mammals? Are we talking anything? If we're talking anything, probably mosquitoes are very active at night. Bats in the mammal world, very active at night. In terms of land mammals, civets, genets, pangolin, aardvark, all very active at night. What else? White-tailed mongoose, porcupines, pretty much exclusively nocturnal. There are lots of things that are active at night, but in terms of most active, I suppose bats and certain insects that fly about all night are probably the most active of them all. Bush babies, they're very active. They'll visit over 1,000 trees in a single evening, so that's a lot of work if you think about it. Now, talking about active, we're going to send you across to Mr. Activewear himself, Biceps Byron, and see what activity he's up to at the moment.
Well, I'm birding, Tristan, so not too active. I'm busy birding at the moment. There's a beautiful pale morph of the Wahlberg's eagle that we've got over here. Pretty soon they're going to migrate back north. Nice to see the different color variation. The pale form of the Wahlberg's eagle, Wahlberg's seagull. I'm sure you all heard that story from me before. The guide's accent was a little funny, and the guest thought he said seagull, and he said Wahlberg's seagull. Ferg says it's his favorite actor. Who's your favorite actor? Steven Seagal or Steven Seagal? All right. Shall we use the spotlight a little bit? Nice to see that Wahlbergs. Let us see if we can find a chameleon. We said we're going to try and find a chameleon. I think Tristan raised a chameleon challenge. These challenges, I never do well in them. But let's see if we can find a chameleon. We haven't seen a chameleon for a while. Don't know why. Lots of water around, temperature's good. Just haven't seen them. Maybe the vegetation is proving it harder to find them in this really green foliage at the moment. I don't know. Let's see. Mario, there are indeed bush babies in the Greater Kruger, and we often see the bush babies on Safari Live. I haven't seen some this stint yet, but we get the lesser bush baby and the greater bush baby. Now, the lesser bush baby is probably more common. We tend to see a lot more of them around. But they are, in size-wise, lesser bush baby is about this big, very, very small. Not big at all. The greater bush baby can get to about that size. They've got an eerie, eerie sound, almost like a baby screaming when they call at night. I've seen greater bush baby here once. We weren't live. We were actually just at the lodge. But we did see a greater bush baby, which was fascinating. Shall we have a look and see if that scorpion is here again? It is. I can just see it hiding in there. Might be a bit difficult, Fergs, I don't know. But in that hole is a scorpion. There we go. Can you see in there? a bit tricky. You can just see the pincers. Yeah, we need one of those little UV lights. I don't have. There we go. There we go. You can see the pincers just hiding in there. It's not quite dark enough yet. Let's just see. Maybe there we go. From Fergus's angle, you can see a little bit better. Hold on. There you are. You can see that scorpion hiding in there. Apistocanthus asper. That is the name of the scorpion. And I think as soon as it gets a little bit darker, it'll probably come out, wait for some insects to crawl past that hole, grab them with its pincers. Sorry folks, can we hold it there? Let me just see something. Hold on, I'm just going to jump out for a second. Have you still got it there? That's fine. I just want to see if maybe I can coax this little one out slightly, just to get a better view of it. CNAC, you asked if bush babies feed on scorpions. No, they don't. Not bush babies. They mainly feed on sap and occasionally fruit and that. Fruit, nuts and mice. So up here. There we go. Tell me if he moves, folks. Oh, there I see him. Can you see the pincers come out there? Just coaxed him out slightly just to show you those pincers, but that's what he's waiting for, just vibrations on the edge of the hole. That's what the scorpion picks up, and then they will launch out and catch whatever prey is walking past, whatever insects. But thank you very much, folks. That was nice. It's always nice to see these little creatures. I enjoy scorpions, I must be honest, I really do. Anna Marie, I don't think these tree scorpions only hunt at night. I'm sure they hunt during the day at times, but they are generally nocturnal. They move at night. That's when there are a lot more insects around that they can feed on. So generally it is at night that they hunt, Anna Marie. Sorry, this is just a bit bumpy over here. Okay, now let's go back to Ali. Find out if that leopard she was waiting for has decided to come across.
No, he's still not coming across. I can faintly hear cars in the distance, so I think they're probably not too far, but still, they haven't managed to make their way, or he's not made his way all the way here. Hear Franklin's every now and again in the distance, and again the cars, but nope, seems like nothing really happening. So I'm gonna give it another 5-10 minutes or so, and if not, then I think I'm just gonna move on from this area. He could have very easily decided to go somewhere else inside of the property and not come onto this area, because he could have just carried on going further into Arethusa, Samambili, or he could have gone onto Huffman's in that area. But we're still gonna wait for a little while, see if perhaps he does decide to pop over and say hello. At least we've given it a chance, which is always a good thing. Now we're pretty much at the junction of the two main roads that run in this part of the Sabi Sand, so he could go pretty much anywhere, but here's to hoping that he's gonna carry on coming this way. The power of our positive thinking will get us a glimpse of him at least. And at least it's not drizzling, which it was before. So I think overall it's an improvement. But I hear something. I feel like the noise is now coming from behind us. I think they've gone behind us, so I want to try and turn ourselves around, see if maybe we can find a better spot where we can hear them a little bit better. And again, this is quite an unusual stalking. But I'm gonna have to be quiet and listen out for the noises of the cars, so while I do that, let's head over to Tristan and find out what he's up to.
Well, I've come back towards Juma and I'm checking Janet Jackson's area. So you can see we're going to go into infrared to try and check it. No sign of any Janet inside there, I'm afraid. Janet Jackson is on vacation once again. The gloomy weather's come in and Janet Jackson's decided, nope, time to go to a better, sunnier spot for now. So, of course, that's not really the case. It's just probably hiding somewhere up in the tree. Unfortunately, with the roof, very difficult for us to be able to actually see any higher than that. So I can't even see the holes above there, which makes it a little bit difficult to find out whether or not Janet Jackson is maybe lurking higher up this evening. Could be. We know that Janet is very mobile down that tree. Cheetah, the spotlights and blinding of animals is obviously a serious debate that gets raging on and on and on for years and probably will continue to rage on for years. The spotlights essentially, it can do, if you don't use it properly, it can certainly affect the way an animal sees what's going on. All you have to do is take a light and shine it into your eyes and realize that, it's not very pleasant, and at that specific moment, they can't see too well. So the idea is behind a spotlight is that you don't shine it directly into the animal's face, is that you try and shine it kind of down to the ground, almost bounce the light up onto the animal and try and not highlight its eyes too much, because obviously, like I say, if you've ever had a torch shined in your eyes, you'll know what it's like. But essentially, apparently, according to vets that I've spoken to, no, the eyes itself don't actually get damaged by it, so they don't get hurt. It's just that it's obviously not comfortable for them to look into it. Funnily enough, though, for us, when we get a light in our eyes, we'll gaze away immediately, or we'll close our eyes, or we'll try and sort of stop. But I've seen lions and leopards stare straight at spotlights for long periods of time without even blinking and not too phased at all. So I suppose maybe their eyes just work slightly different to ours, and the pupil will just dilate that much smaller and it'll be able to cope with it. Apparently it doesn't hurt their eyes and that they're okay. I'm not sure I'm 100% into that argument, and it's why we've moved into the IR situation. So our IR lights will have no effect on their eyes whatsoever. They can't even see the light at all. So we use the IR light just to highlight them up so that we don't have to make use of spotlights, and we use spotlights purely as a spotting point of view. So as we're shining, we pick up the eyes and then we can go into IR and be able to view them in that. And so it's really changed the way that we're able to do our safaris, and for the better, I think. I think personally, shining lights into animals' eyes is probably not the best thing, and it shows the animal up in a dark environment, or it's causing an animal to temporarily lose what it's seeing. So I'm a huge fan of the IR and the infrared stuff, and I can't wait for infrared technology to get that much better, that it almost has the same sort of scope and distance that we get out of our spotlights, a normal light, as an IR light. So it's a wonderful thing to have, and it really, like I say, has opened up a whole new world for us, because now we can even view animals that are diurnal with these infrared lights, because we're playing no part in affecting them at all. So I suppose technology has its advances and its advantages, should I say, as well. Right, now I think I'm going to go just sneak past Treehouse Dam. Why not? It's that time of the day where anything could be a Treehouse Dam. Maybe little Tumba arrives and shows up. You never know. It could be that happens. Given that it's been a fairly quiet time on Juma in terms of our leopards, it might be a good place to check. Now, talking about infrared, I believe Byron has busted out his infrared, and I wonder what he's looking at.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Kirst, did just think we had infrared on. We don't have infrared on. We're using the spotlights at the moment. I've got infrared on the camera. Oh, there. Sorry, I wasn't looking. I've been searching. I do apologize. You've yeah. This is what safaris looked like in the 1920s. Yeah, except I had a moustache in those days, and my hat was different. Yeah, my little bowler hat. And I also was dressed a lot smarter. Can you imagine James looking like Charlie Chaplin? Please don't tell James. I suppose he says as much as Charlie Chaplin to us normally. He's only chatty on camera. Ah, James. I wonder when he's going to be released from Kenya. Tristan says, I look like one of the characters of Laurel and Hardy. Well, Tristan,
He looks like the guy that chases around like the Popeyes.
I think that's fair. So I'm Laurel, and that would make Tristan Hardy. I think the other night in the tent we definitely look like Laurel and Hardy. Sure. I don't know why we are unable to spot any chameleons. I was saying to Fergus, my friend Judas that I used to work with was incredible at spotting things at night. And he'd often spot snakes at night in the trees. And I really am unable to spot a snake at night. I've never spotted a snake in a tree at night, but Judas often in summer, mainly in summer, boomslang or the tree snake up in a tree at night. Now I don't know if it's got something to do with the area, although this was only a little bit further south where we used to do that. But he taught me how to spot chameleons properly and scorpions at night. Kirsten says James Henry is watching us at the moment from the Mara. Good evening, James. Hope you're doing well. What's for dinner up there? Wonder what James... Does James have to cook for himself there at the moment? Looking very carefully here, but I just am not able to find anything. You see, that's the thing, and that's why I love Safari Live so much, is because we're able to show you the wonders of nature and all these amazing animals, but also to show you how difficult it is to find them. You can drive around for ages searching. There's never a guarantee that you're going to see something. And with having a few more vehicles out, it's obviously more beneficial for all of us. It's definitely beneficial for us, because if Tristan finds a leopard or Ali finds a leopard, I can go look for something else, and vice versa. So we try and show you as much as possible, but there are 3 vehicles out, and at times one of us might just not see as much as the others. James says he's having pepper steak for dinner tonight, and that he doesn't have to cook. Thank goodness, because I've had some of the food that James has cooked. I wouldn't recommend it. Alright, well, Tristan's also got his spotlight out and he's busy searching. I wonder if he's got any luck so far. Let's go find out.
Well, so far, no luck, Byron, but I do want to ask if James is watching. James, please can you send Byron some of those test that you were showing us the other day about color blindness, because clearly Byron needs to have his eye checked, and to just so that he knows when we're in infrared and that we lack color altogether. Also, hello James, how are you? Hope that you are having a good time in the Mara. It will be nice to have James. I was thinking the other day that maybe what we should do is, if it rains again, is maybe we should get James to join us on a Skype call in the tent, and we can have James vicariously answer some of our questions and have a chat in the tent. I don't know, we'll think about it. I'll talk to James about it. Maybe we can do that in some way. I know a lot of you are missing James as per normal. James is obviously one of our funnier members of Safari Live, and is generally one that is missed the most, I think, out of everybody in our team. Now, what else was I going to say to Byron? Also, Byron's comedy, Laurel Hardy, Charlie Chaplin. I did giggle at Charlie Chaplin. I thought that was quite funny, and I feel like that was not a bad sort of, what would we call it, a thought as to who Charlie Chaplin would most look like. So I thought I quite liked that and did giggle a bit about that. And in terms of Laurel Hardy, I'm afraid, Byron, you're keeping the Hardy tag because you had no originality in coming back to me about those characters. I think Hardy's the bigger one. Is Hardy the bigger one? I don't know. Apparently, William and I were discussing this. We weren't sure. So James has accepted the offer to do a Skype call in the tent one of these fine afternoons. So, like I say, if we get a bit of rain, especially if there's rain forecast all the way till Tuesday, I'm sure we will do another tent, and in which case we'll get James involved, and we'll try and do a fun segment with James and Skype, and we'll try and get Byron and do a tent segment. I'm sure there'll be lots of laughs and something to look forward to. Hopefully all of you will want to join us for that as well. Right, now Byron, I believe, is viewing a large grey animal with his infrared, and he is now cottoned on to what infrared means, and that we are indeed in IR.
Yes, now I know. I did not see the screen, Tristan, but we've got a beautiful big elephant bull enjoying Marula fruit as usual. A nice big bull, very relaxed. Can hear bubbling casinas in the background. Woodland kingfishers still calling. A lot of insects and other frogs. It's that time of the evening where a lot of these tiny creatures come alive and really start calling. Now, this isn't the elephant that is known as Daryl. Now, I've heard that elephant being named a lot or spoken of a lot, but I saw him. You know what? I saw him yesterday or the day before, just outside camp, but I haven't seen him on drive yet. And he's got a prominent hole in his ear, so it makes it quite easy to identify him. But I remember Taylor speaking about him last year. He's been around again. Oh, this is such a wonderful way to end the drive for me. Just sit and spend time with an elephant at night. You can actually hear him throwing the fruit into his mouth. I'm just going to move the light slightly. There we go. Is that a bit better? There we go. I can hear the wildebeest calling, the young wildebeest. The wildebeest calves giving a slight little grunt on the clearing behind us. The Senegal lapwings flying over us. Senegal lapwing. It's calling. No owls calling yet, but there's some wonderful sounds at the moment. I'm sure all of you are enjoying it. Just sitting peacefully watching this big elephant. Can still hear him chewing on that fruit. And we know some of the fruit they just swallow whole, don't even chew them. I'm going to try to roll forward a little bit. Shall I, Fergs? Let's see if we can. I don't want to start the vehicle. Can I roll? Will the vehicle roll? No, it won't. It won't. All right, let's go across to Ali and get an update from her with that leopard. Has it come across yet or not?
Unfortunately not, and I don't think it will. We waited patiently for quite a while, but it sounded like the noises of the cars were very, very far away, and in addition to that, we couldn't even see any spotlights. So that would be, unless he's hunting and the spotlights are off, that would have also helped us in trying to pinpoint the location where he might have crossed onto our area, but unfortunately nothing. So I think, well, I've decided that we were going to abandon our wait, just because I don't think there's a real chance of this leopard actually coming in onto Juma, at least for the time being. But we also do know that Hukumu seems to mission quite a bit in the same old-fashioned way as Tingana used to when he was feeling a little bit better. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe tomorrow morning we find tracks of him somewhere in here. It seems like by the report that I got that he was on a steady move. So hopefully later on today, or well, tonight already, we'll see him coming our way, and then tomorrow we'll be able to start this game again where we try and track him once more. Other than that, there's been pretty quiet all around the what's the name? Cut line. Oh my goodness, I can't even think. So while I get my words back, let's head over to Byron and the elephant.
Just hold on, this elephant is very close to us now. He's decided to move around the back of us. It is a little dark, but I'm sure you can still see. Oh, he just flapped his ears slightly at us. Very pungent smell. It's not a very pleasant smelling elephant. He's just walked past us. He's heading off. That was nice and close. He came and stood right next to us at one point. He's now urinating. It's a bit difficult to see him. It's a bit dark outside, I think. Sorry, the lights. I might just be able to see a little bit of him. No, he's directly behind the pole there. Oh well. We had a nice view of him, so that's okay. But he was very close to us. He was right next to us. He never once showed any sign of aggression, but he did open his ears. He made himself look a bit bigger, and he was. It was clear that he didn't want us to get closer, but he came up to us, and then just slowly turned and moved around the back of the vehicle and walked on. It was wonderful. So unfortunately, Ali did not have any luck with a leopard. But maybe tomorrow, we might have some luck tomorrow with it. Now, Scrant, you say you would feel a little insecure at night out here with some of these animals. And there's... You know, as long as you are on a vehicle, then you are safe. But it can be a bit daunting at times. I think, especially for people who have never been out to Africa, first time. But I know people, friends of mine even, that come out regularly, and for them, also being out at night, it's not something they're used to, and you get a bit nervous. which I don't think is a bad thing. And I'll say that because, we always have to have respect for nature. Never take things for granted. These animals are wild animals. You do still have to be careful and respect them. And some alates. Oh, just throw that little one out there. There we go. Saving the alates. Now they're attacking me. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy being saved. Maybe it's a different one. Oh, well. You see what happens when you're kind at times. Yeah. That's it. All right, shall we go? I can't remember between Laurel and Hardy. Who was the big one and who was the thin one? Maybe my friend can tell us. Let's go find out from him.
Well, Byron, Hardy was the bigger one and Laurel was the taller, skinnier one. So according to Kirsty, you, my friend, are Hardy and I am Laurel. Not that I'm in any way skinny at all. But anyway, just a little bit. Byron says, I'm Hardy, Kirsty. Okay, Byron. If that's what you want, I'll be Hardy. It's okay. I'll squat every time I'm next to you so you can appear tall. For now, I'll just, try and be shorter than you. It's going to be very difficult unless I cut off my legs at my knees to be the same height as you are. But anyway, fair enough, Byron. I'll take it. I'm not opposed to being called a different name. It's not the first time anybody has called me some sort of nickname, that's for sure. But we are slowly meandering home. We've tried to find all kinds of things. I looked for Tumba, actually. I went on Ingwe Alley, in the hope that we would have a little leopard to finish up this evening. But alas, our leopard decided that it was kind of time to sort of have a rest and hide out. And so Juma really needs to show us a leopard in the next little bit. We've had a very quiet time of it leopard-wise in the last little bit. Lions have been good, but leopards need to come to the party. But it is that time of the day, as I mentioned, that myself, Byron, and Ali are going to start heading back to camp. We have apparently a games night tonight, so it's murder mystery evening. So somebody is a murderer. It's not me, definitely not. And hopefully we will find out who it was. We'll have to update you all in the morning as to who it was. But from Byron, myself, Ali, all the cam-ups, and Kirsty and FC, and Alicia, I think, was also on duty, or Ashley, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Sunrise Safari.